my parents are from the Northeast, but they're Christian conservatives. They were raised with a whole bunch of like liberal progressives up in the Northeast and all that kind of jazz. But they themselves lived a very conservative lifestyle. My parents are still married after I want to say like 45, pushing 50 years together. And basically, I saw the benefits of a conservative lifestyle despite not being personally religious. Like as I grew older, I kind of doubted my religion, doubted my faith, all that kind of stuff. But I still saw the power of it and the power of like morality and organization and stability and all that kind of stuff. And then also, I really fell in love with the American story, genuinely. Just kind of like our founding documents, constitutionalism. Not really anything like this has really been done on the planet before. So, kind of getting to know that history intimately, the good parts and the bad parts, really made me fall in love with the country. And then I did travel across the world. Basically, I've moved every 3 years since I was a child. So I was born in Boston, lived in Florida, lived in Belgium, lived in Texas, and then I joined the military when I was 18, and I went to Japan, went to Iraq, went to California, and then moved back home. And basically, the more I experienced of the world, the more that I kind of realized that I needed roots, that I needed things that held me firm. And that's kind of why I have really heavy conservative and really heavy libertarian roots while still being willing to explore like liberal and progressive ideals. I would also say that like the military was a huge impact on me from like a civic nationalist perspective. I served with almost an all black unit, and also like a whole bunch of different kinds of people from different nationalities and all that kind of stuff. I think if you believe in the American experiment, then you can come here. If you don't believe in the American experiment, then you can pound sand someplace else. And I feel that in my fucking bones. So that's kind of how I got where I got.
Okay. I guess as a follow up on that, what made you feel that conservative values were still necessary, even though you became less religious? And as a follow up on that, what religion were your parents?
So my parents started out non-denominational Protestant, but as I became a teenager, or my dad in particular, converted to Catholicism, and my mom just followed him basically. But she's still a Protestant. They fight about it all the time. Basically, that was my religious background. But what happened was when I left my religion, which I would say I probably did around 15, 16, was when I started being hedonistic and stereotypically degenerate and doing drugs and chasing girls and all that kind of stuff, all of which was fun, and I think has its
Yeah.
role in society. That being said, what I found as I got into I thought I was escaping like the social mores and the prescriptions of my parents, but really I was just falling into a different mindset, and that mindset was basically nihilist hedonism. I didn't realize that's what it was, but that's what it was. And what I realized was I was getting a lot of the things that I desired, but I was increasingly miserable. I just really did not enjoy getting what I wanted, basically. And what I realized was that getting what you desire is not the same thing as being happy. And religion has some prescriptions about what a contented and purposeful life is. And I started exploring those things. I met my wife. I had a family. I picked a pretty stable job. I was a law enforcement officer for 4 years. And the more I did that rooted my life in purpose, the happier I became. Now, I'm still a miserable bastard and I love fighting, but I'm not like anxious or depressed as much as I was back when I was like a nihilist hedonist.
Okay. That sounds actually very relatable. Do you attend any religious institution regularly, or is it just something you find utility in?
We were sorry, one second. We were going to church before COVID hit, like weekly, and dropping off the kid at daycare and all that kind of stuff. My wife and I struggle with that because she's not like particularly religious either, but we just think that religion has like good values that we want to impart down on our child. And
Okay.
so we were attending up until COVID, and then we're talking about going back the more the restrictions lift, and once the variants are under control, we'll probably be going to some kind of religious institution.
Sounds good. Okay. Become ungovernable, ironically, wants to go ahead and ask his question. about your views on economics. So I'm going to go ahead
Sure.
and give him the ability to speak. I just sent you an invite. There we go. Go ahead.
But it's really late and my dog wants to sleep, so can you just like say it for me?
Yeah, not a problem. I can take care of it.
Alright, cheers.
All right. So basically, what he wants is two questions. The first one would be for you to explain your economic views in particular.
Yeah, so I'm a mixed economy capitalist. I don't think there's any reason to ban the bourgeoisie. I think all of the things that people bitch about capitalism for can be achieved with a mixed economy model. I am probably more statist and distributive than most libertarians, because I don't think I think the government should have the perspective that the free market should handle a majority of things except for market failures. There's some things that just don't respond well to markets. I think physical security is one of those things. I don't think for-profit cops are good. I don't think for-profit military would be good. I don't think for-profit medical stuff is good, and I don't think for-profit education is good. So while I wouldn't necessarily want the government to like ban private versions of these things, I would want public options in all of these spheres, because I would want, if there was a market failure or anything like that, I would want there to be an option for people to get access to the essential services and needs. I root my belief system in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which
Okay.
everybody should Google. Basically, it says that like physiological needs, security needs, social needs, egotistical needs, and self-actualization are met approximately in that order by human beings. So I think it's the role of the government to help facilitate that growth. And I think the free market does a way better job than a command economy of allowing people to pursue those ambitions. But it does need some reinforcement from the state and some regulation from the state.
Give me an example, if you could. You don't have to.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
of something you consider a market failure.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that I learned in business school, that there's like price elasticity. That basically means the ability of people to pay a price in order to obtain a service.
Right.
A good example of this is like, cell phones. We've learned over the past like decade, back cell phones used to be 300, 400, $500. Well, they're such an essential part of the human experience at this point in the modern age that we will pay $1,000 to $1,500 for a good quality cell phone, and will engage in a contract for 3 years, two to 3 years, just to get access to high end technology, right?
Yep.
So we've learned that that's kind of like the elasticity of the pricing when it comes to cell phones. Well, there's not really any elasticity when it comes to your life. If you get cancer, most people will pay any price in order to avoid death. So I think that like healthcare in particular, while I don't necessarily want to ban the private market, I don't think there's a price that most people wouldn't pay in order to live. So as a result, we see, especially in the United States, we see people bankrupt themselves in order to try to live just a little bit longer. I think that's pretty messed up and an indication of a market failure. I think there should be a public option at least.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So next question is also by Become Ungovernable, and I'll go ahead and read it out. He's asking your thoughts as an ex-Marine on the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I'm sure you have a lot to say about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a mess. It needed to be done. We needed to do one of two things. We either needed to stay there for the next century, the way that we did in Japan, Germany, and Korea, and like actually have like an intergenerational pro-democratic project, which I feel like we could have done fairly cheaply. Or alternatively, we just kind of need to leave it alone. There's an idea that I always push. It's called foreign internal defense, which basically talks about how you can train large scale national forces with only a few dozen military consultants. I think that's the kind of role that we should take with any forces that are either negotiating or fighting with the Taliban. We shouldn't necessarily spend billions of dollars on it, but we can provide them technical assistance, training, maybe some air support and all that kind of stuff. And the goal is not to defeat the Taliban. The goal is to give like the Northern Alliance, the pro-democratic forces, and the other forces in that country a fighting shot of actually like resisting pure rule by the Taliban. That way they can come to the negotiating table and have a coalition government. I think but this is ultimately a fight that the Afghan people need to take on themselves. We spent $50 billion a year for 20 years. I think we lost like around 3,000 troops, and we have almost nothing to show for it. So ultimately, this is a fight that needs to be done by Afghans.
How do you, on the follow-up on that, how do you feel about Ahmad Massoud's forces? Do you think there's any actual substance behind that, or is that just like just all for naught?
I think it's a it's a negotiating starting point, right? So if that's the brother to the if that's the brother to like the Northern Alliance fighter who was assassinated like right before 9/11, then yeah, like this is perfectly acceptable. Like there's five different ethnicities. There's I mean, there's probably like 10 different ethnicities. There's probably
Wow.
five languages in Afghanistan. It's perfectly fine for basically the Turkmen and the Tajiks and the Uzbeks and all that kind of stuff to create a military force capable of fighting and negotiating with the Taliban, and then requesting representation within the government and having some level of autonomy within their own regions. That's just the way Afghanistan is going to be, regardless of whether or not we want it.
Okay. All right. Next question is by Croissant, and he asked, as time goes on, will conservative values become outdated?
Yes and no. I think there's some things that survive the test of time no matter what. One of my buddies, Layman, Layman, he's one of my favorite people on this planet. He talks about a religious concept called perennialism, which is basically that there's truth rooted in most religions and most mystic philosophies, and that whatever truth can be gleaned that perpetuates throughout human civilization is actually like humanity's flawed attempts at chipping away at the face of God. I'm a perennialist. I think that's a really cool way to perceive God and religion and faith and spirituality and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's some things that are just clearly better from a utilitarian standpoint. I think a society based on truth is better than a society that accepts lying. I think a society based on honest contracts and honest dealings is better than a society based on like kleptocracy and theft. I think a society based off of like negotiated between the weak and the powerful is better than a society that just says the strongest shall rule. These are all lessons that we've learned for the past like 3,000 years. Unfortunately, it feels like nihilist hedonism is going to obliterate a lot of like socially conservative values, but chances are we're going to relearn these values in a hard way over the next century. And ultimately, I think we're dealing with like Nietzsche's death of God. We can't really root our morality or our perspectives on the worlds in religions anymore. So you have religious people who are still holding on to religion, and then you have basically nihilist hedonists who don't believe in anything. And the truth is that we actually we need to figure out what the fuck is going on, or else we're going to kill each other.
Okay. Gotcha. Let me go ahead and ask the next question there. So the next question is by, whoops, what's wrong with me? The next question is by Donzo, and he asks, what would persuade more people to accept libertarianism? So, uh, as a person, like me personally, I find libertarianism like very unhelpful for someone who really wants to enforce cultural conservative values.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's like it's basically just a tool for people who are culturally conservative to separate themselves away from society when we really should be enforcing social community. So I find it counterintuitive. What would take a person like me or other people who are cultural conservatives to become libertarians?
I think weirdly enough, I'm fighting in the other direction. So unfortunately, like libertarian has become synonymous with like anarcho-capitalist. That basically means that you don't think you can use a state for anything except for maybe security. And I hate that perspective. When it comes to being like more liberal, like live and let live or whatever, I think ultimately we have to ask ourselves what we're willing to do to our neighbors in order to enforce our expectations. I think so. Like law carries the threat of force. It's just true. If you create a law and you don't have any level of enforceability, then it's not a law worth paying attention to, right? So we have to ask ourselves what we're willing to enforce and why. I would say that basically forcing LGBTQ people back into the closet is off the table at this point in American history. I would say that treating ethnic and religious minorities as second-class citizens is off the table at this point in history. So these aren't really things that are popular or coming back in America. So really, all you can do as a conservative who maybe wants your views more accurately represented is push back for them culturally. Say like fight for in the public square for why either religion, truth, morality, principles, family, community, all those kinds of things Fight for why those things are of value. Literally, I just spent like I don't know, probably 2 hours earlier in the day yelling at like nihilist hedonist coomers in my fucking Discord about why family is important. And needless to say, it seems like nihilist hedonism is winning with the younger generation. So we got to fight for it, basically, on a cultural
Well,
level.
as a person who had to argue with Prime Case's panel about why polyamory is ineffective in society, I definitely have sympathy for that.
Mm.
What would you say to someone who believes, or who, well, to someone who believes that Republicans and people who identify as conservatives have basically lost the social conservative point, so they just run back to Charlie Kirk style, I live like a capitalist every day sort of conservatism.
Oh, I no, no. We were founded as like a liberal or libertarian society. Liberalism or libertarianism is something that has to be actively defended. You actually have to like research what makes a society function and what makes the Constitution function. I know that's not necessarily like social conservatism, but weirdly enough, in some ways it is. So basically, what I would say, yeah, sorry, one sec. So what I would say is that like, no, fuck that, and you need to fight for what you want to see in the world. I think one of the things that we bought into in the past, like, I don't know, 30 or 40 years is that like words really didn't matter. Whether you're looking at like Eminem or South Park or any of the more offensive like public art of the past 20 or 30 years, kind of what they forced us to believe was that our words didn't have consequences and our words didn't really convince anybody of anything anyway, so there was no point in debating or arguing anything, and that's total bullshit. If you look at the past 5 or 10 years, we've had a whole bunch of people who were convinced to pretty extreme ideologies solely based off of rhetoric. So whatever you do believe in, whatever you do fight for, what I would say is be open to principled change, but advocate for it. Advocate for it in the political sphere. Advocate it in your private life. Advocate it with your friends and family. You will change minds if you have good arguments and if you're passionate about it.
Okay, that was a very thoughtful answer. Appreciate that. The next question is by Weapon, who asked. Well, he wants to ask it on VC, so I'll go ahead and do that. Where is he? All right, Weapon, I invited you to speak. Yes, no, maybe. You got 10 seconds. And nope. Okay. Unfortunate. So I will go ahead and ask his question for him. And that question is, what are your thoughts on socialism as a very basic concept? So I'm guessing he's asking about seizing the means of production. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the definition of socialism that I think most socialists agree with is basically the decommodification of basic human need, and basically workers owning the means of production. Right? There's market socialism. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of socialism. Right? One, I think it's unnecessary. Two, basically, when we're talking about like decommodifying basic human need, at this point in history, I don't think it's possible or within like human nature that decommodification would be a good thing. Maybe there should be cheap food. Maybe there should be like cheap alternative housing for the homeless. Maybe we should have like public hospitals or something like that for the people who genuinely can't work. But ultimately, our system is reliant on human labor. I don't see human labor as being something that is going to go away probably within the next 500 years. And I know that every single leftist is cooming over the potential for like automation to throw us all out of work so we can sit in like, tiny little boxes and just, jerk off and play video games all day. I don't think that's going to happen in the next 400 years. So basically, I think at this point, mixed economy capitalism or even social democracy make a lot more sense than anything that a actual socialist is advocating for. And I don't want to say it's a pipe dream, because the way that I could see socialism actually being implemented in the world is if there was like automation that literally unemployed 80% of the human population, and a cheap renewable source of energy like fusion that basically made it so between automation, space mining, and fusion power, we didn't need human labor in order to perpetuate society. At this point, though, we still need people to unclog the sewers. We still need people to fix live electric wires. We still need people to do dirty and dangerous jobs, including the military and law enforcement. And I just don't see that many people willing to risk their lives if they know that they could sit in an apartment complex and coom all day and make the same amount of money or still be materially satisfied versus like going out onto the street and getting into fist fights and, you know, cutting timber and all that kind of shit. I just don't think it's possible at this point in time.
On a fundamental level, do you think automation creates jobs or destroys jobs as a net?
I've had a really smart person, like a really, really smart person, basically tell me that we've had probably 5 or 6 industrial revolutions in which people were panicking that we were going to throw everybody out of work, and ultimately humans invented new work. So I'm receptive to that idea. You know, obviously, like the industrialization of agriculture was like a huge one in the late 19th, early 20th century. So basically, like we've done this before. But just because we've done this before doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, we're going to be able to escape it in the future. So I'm hopeful. That guy is an optimist, so I'm really hoping that he's correct. But ultimately, I'm terrified of the ramifications of 80% of the population being unemployable and there not being new work. I think that would be incredibly toxic.
Okay, fair enough. Next question is also by Become Ungovernable. He asks, explain your thoughts on the United States historical conflict with the Native Americans. Is it justifiable by their strong opposition to the American experiment? So I'm guessing this is also in contrast to your former debate that you had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be easily classifiable as genocide. So basically, you know, the arguments, like my parents are boomers, so I've heard these arguments before. The arguments are 90% of the Native Americans were killed by disease. That's true, but we didn't exactly treat the other ones particularly well either. And, you know, regardless of whether or not we, you know, we let them live genetically, we didn't let them perpetuate culturally. So even our Native American allies who helped us in wars with other Native Americans, ultimately we either assimilated or killed them. We pushed them outside of the territorial bounds, continued to push them, continued to push them, continued to push them, and always conquered their territory. So for me, whether or not it's justifiable in the modern day, I don't really think of like history that way. Kind of like I'm not there. I understand the moral framework through which Christian colonial Europeans came to America and found a bunch of people like murdering them when they settled new territory. So they were like, fuck it, we're going to kill the shit out of these people. And I also understand like the Native American impetus where they're like, hey, we've been living this way for, you know, a few hundred, few thousand, 10,000, 30,000 years. We're native to this continent, and who the fuck are these people to come into our territory uninvited and basically take all our shit? We're going to go raid their houses and, you know, kill the men and kidnap the women. I understand like the moral arguments on both perspectives. Doesn't mean either one of them is good. Doesn't mean that like we have to like post hoc rationalize or justify the things that we've inherited. What we should focus on, which I think is a more important thing, is are these people human beings? Yeah. Should we care about them? Yeah. Have we fucked them over? Yeah. What do we do in order to make sure that they're not fucked over going into the future? So that I don't like post hoc rationalizing the wrongs of the history.
Okay. Next question is going to be by Hoodie Sakwan, and his question is, how do you view people that don't believe in a religion? So I guess atheists or agnostics.
I mean, I'm okay with them. The only thing that I don't like is when people are like, well, I'm such a fucking tenhead that I created my own morality and I was a hedonist for 5 years and now I think that you shouldn't cheat on people. You know, it's like, bro, you're not a fucking tenhead. All you did was like fucking reinvent moral norms that, you know, philosophers and religious people have been talking about for 3,000 years. Oftentimes, what actually pisses me off about reading classics, like reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, or reading the Bible from like a more secular lens, or reading, you know, like Zoroastrianism texts or anything of that kind of shit. What fucks me up is that there's not too much new shit under the sun. As a matter of fact, like a lot of the lessons that you think that you've learned because you're a 10-head genius, somebody figured out like 2,500 years ago. So.
Do you think that the secular concepts that are brought up are just regurgitations? Like, well, in Ludacris's terms, do you think nothing's been news been invented since Big Daddy came, or do you think there's actual new concepts
uh,
that actually occur?
I think there's new synthesis. So, for instance, like I think like some Greek philosopher could have, come up with like a moral axiom like 3,000 years ago, and then somebody 500 years ago, some Christian philosopher could have come up with a different axiom, and we could combine those axioms into a new understanding of the world. Also, I think that like old axioms can be contextualized within like science or like updated philosophical understanding, updated understanding of like animals or biology or anything that kind of stuff. But ultimately, it is kind of like it's kind of like the sign, like mathematics sign, like where it's like exponential growth into increasing complexity. But ultimately, it's still a line being drawn and expanding in a spiral. The complexity and the size increases, but it's still the same fundamental building blocks.
Sure. Okay. Next question is: do you believe the American experiment is successful, seeing how close it is to collapsing? Oh, he's assuming the premise here. Only
Yeah.
250 years after its founding. I guess many people believe with the last few presidents that we've had, their clear average approval rating becoming much lower, uh, confidence in the government becoming much lower. Do you believe that America is deteriorating, or that the American experiment is structurally flawed?
I think it's up to us, so we can kind of decide this. Like, I think Cicero in like 400 or something like that, he was talking about like the collapse of Rome, and like Rome lasted like another 250 years, and then if you want to include the Byzantine Empire, it lasted until like the 1400s. It's really up to us. So if we want to say, hey, we had a good run, let's kill each other and let the empire collapse, then we can do that. Alternatively, we could say, nope, we have some fundamentally good premises that are worthy of defense and survival and propagation, and we need to fight for them. So I really do think it's up to millennials, because basically, I would say boomers really liked, basically climbed the ladder and then kicked it out from under us. And then I would also say that, Zoomers and millennials seem completely unprepared for life, for adulthood, for a whole bunch of shit. And so basically, it's up to us on whether or not we grow the fuck up, seize the reins of power, and actually do something with it that's positive, or if we just let this whole thing collapse. So I don't buy into the fact that it's already over.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question is also by Become Ungovernable, and he feels that this is more personal. And he feels that you can relate to this. He was accepted into the Queen's Guard because he's English and he applied,
Mhm.
but he copped out at the last second. He feels that it was a huge regret, uh, and he wanted to ask your experience as an ex-Marine, and if you would do it again, if you could.
Yep, 100%. It gave me a lot. I was an angry pothead who was on the verge of getting my girlfriend pregnant and working in a pizza kitchen while I put myself through community college. Instead, I joined the Marine Corps. I learned a skill. I built up my resume. I deployed. I learned a lot about violence. And then I got out, used my GI Bill in order to get ahead, and then basically became a cop, and then got a decent job after that too. So yeah, it was total benefits for me across the board, and even the negatives, like getting hurt. I'm still a little injured in my back of my neck from my service. It was worth it. It's painful, but it was worth it.
Gotcha. I actually have my best friend is actually an officer right now. He's in Quantico. Uh, he's a not the recruiting sergeant, but basically the drill sergeant. Um, Next question. Um, by Pure, he wants to ask this in VC, so I am going to give him access right now. You've been invited.
Hey, so Counterpoints.
What's up, buddy?
What What do you think of with the Afghanistan shit that happened when we pulled out? What do you think of other countries being mad at us for pulling our military out,
Oh,
like
fuck
the
them.
general?
Fuck them and their stupid asses. That's what I have to say about that shit. What the Europeans who fucking sat it behind their fucking bases and didn't do shit for fucking 20 years, they're gonna fucking criticize us. The regional partners like fucking China, who it's their fucking backyard, so realistically they should be handling that shit anyways. India, who basically hate fucking Muslims more than us. Who the fuck is criticizing us? Who has the fucking nutsack to actually have like a moral stake in this? Nah, fuck them. The United States is literally like the one of the few people that actually do anything on the world stage. I don't even know whose criticism I would accept in reference to Afghanistan. I have no idea whose criticisms I would even accept.
All right, that's all I really wanted to ask. I knew you would say that probably, but just
Yeah,
checking.
yeah. Fuck Europeans. All right.
There we go. Okay, next question is by Cal. What are your thoughts on Vosh and BreadTube in general?
I have like really mixed feelings on Vosh. On one
Okay.
hand, I think he's incredibly rhetorically gifted. I think he's charming. I think he's funny. I think he's an interesting guy. All that kind of shit. On the other hand, some of his statements about rhetoric have made me deeply uncomfortable, and I think are toxic for like political communication in general. I know that specifically in some debates, he's kind of referenced the fact that he will go with the argument that is more, like basically he doesn't necessarily care if it's rooted in like cold hard fact as long as it's like rhetorically strong. That makes me really uncomfortable. Like everything that I do has to be rooted in reality and my actual perspective. To be honest, I think part of the reason why I'm successful is because I really try to not give a fuck about the audience and not think about what the audience wants me to say. Because that's how you end up in these fucking echo chambers where you end up jerking off fucking 50,000 people who all have the same perspective, who aren't looking for any contradictory information. They're just looking for things to reaffirm their worldview. And then that's my thing about BreadTube, I guess, in general. Number one, they're a bunch of carnivorous fucks. You think the right wing is bad about fucking canceling each other and destroying each other? The left, there is nothing a leftist hates more than a slightly different leftist. It's fucking brutal out there, and I actually feel really bad for leftists who are genuine and truthful and trying to advocate for the politics they believe in and all that kind of shit. So yeah, like it's a mixed bag. It's frustrating. I like a lot of these people on a personal level. I think they're fundamentally fun people. But then obviously I dislike a lot of their politics, and some of the rhetorical shit gives me fucking cancer. So yeah.
Do you think I guess you're referring to the whatever is rhetorically effective or will win over people is utilitarianly better than just figuring out what you believe is the objectively best argument to have?
No. Yeah. So I think of figuring out the objectively best argument and advocating for that position is better. I am this is like obviously other people have said this in like religious texts before. But this is something that Jordan Peterson has talked about, where it's basically a world rooted in truth, that like advocates for the truth regardless of consequences, better than a world rooted in a lie that aims towards the noble things. And basically the consequences of consistently telling the truth are way better than trying to lie into a better world. I completely and fundamentally believe that. I have been a part of so many different institutions where the primary problem is supervisors and middle management and upper management looking to reaffirm their own biases about how the institution is functioning, and a bunch of cowardly fucking lower people who are not willing to tell them the truth about what's going on and what needs to be done. And ultimately this literally hurts and kills people. So I am absolutely fucking done with ends just justify the means crowd. As a matter of fact, ends justify the means is how we got in this fucking shithole in the first place. Yeah.
I respect that answer. I guess I would have one follow-up question to that, and that would be I would consider your rapid sort of display on politics, Twitter and YouTube very successful. What do you say to people who feel that the Vosh method, as you described earlier, is more successful?
It is. It is more successful. Like, telling people what they want to hear is absolutely more successful. But if we keep allowing people, and by allowing I mean basically letting pundits, because you see this cycle, right? This is what happened with the anti-SJWs. This is what happened with the new atheist crowd. This is what happened. A few pundits come out. They actually have new and good ideas. They realize that they have an audience that they can jerk off. They jerk off that audience for 5 years. The audience gets bored. They move on. That's what's happened, like, consistently with every YouTube fad that's happened over the past decade and a half. The problem with that is that there's real world consequences. Whether we're talking about like an increase in nihilism, whether or not we're talking about an increase in hedonism, whether or not we're talking about terrorist attacks from the left or from the right, whether or not we're talking about the normalization of political violence, these pundits and their advocacy are not just cute alternative media trends. They have real world impacts. We're now seeing those impacts in our media and our political figures. So fuck that. And I understand these people are really successful and they tend to make a lot of money doing what they're doing. But I would rather go slow and steady and have a stable platform from which to like base my perspectives than to just, I don't know. It's kind of like a tree growing with a fucking trunk. And kind of building out its base before it grows taller versus a vine that just like jumps onto a pre-existing structure and crawls up as quickly as it can. I would rather be a tree than a vine in this metaphor.
Fair enough. Okay. Next question is, do you trust the state?
No,
And the follow-up on that is, do you support democracy?
maybe.
That's fair. Look, I already said this earlier. Like,
Yeah.
my faith in democratic politics was shot very quickly because I experienced it as a campaigner and a staffer.
Yeah.
But what say you?
Yeah. So, do I trust the state? No. The state is made up by people. This is why you always have power check power. You never get, like, I am not in favor of a one state solution. I am not in favor of a dictatorship. I am not in favor of monarchy. I'm not in favor of any of that shit. Because ultimately these are human beings. They're all flawed. They're all going to make fucked up decisions. And the only thing that allows like better decisions to be made over time is for people to be constantly criticizing each other. I know that's a pain in the balls for all the neo-monarchists and neo-fascists and neo-tankies and all that kind of shit, but, you know, fuck them. And what I would say is, as far as democracy is, like, I always reference this like Churchill quote, which is like, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the other ones. I do not believe in direct democracy. Whenever somebody advocates for direct democracy, I want to fucking curl up in a ball and fucking die from like cringe. The average person is a fucking asshole, and I include myself in that categorization. So no, I don't think we should be doing referendums on tax policy. I don't think we should be doing referendums on how big the military should be. I don't think we should be doing referendums on, what like the EPA should do or climate policy, because this is basically how you create dysfunctional societies in which everybody votes themselves all of the entitlements, while also voting that they don't have to do anything in order to accrue those benefits and entitlements. So direct democracy can absolutely eat my ass. Fuck that shit.
It's all the districts voting for their own earmarks. Yep.
Yeah, I am much closer to representative democracy than anything else, and it's basically because like I can't really see an alternative. That's really like representative republics is the only thing that I can think of that's even remotely stable.
Do you think the president should have, or whatever head of state should have, more power, or is it too high now?
It's too high right now. Basically, Congress has abdicated its responsibility. They basically allowed the president to become a secular king who just gets swapped out every 4 to 8 years. They don't actually have to make decisions anymore. They don't have to vote on policy. They don't have to decide budgets. They can just let the fucking king take the rise and fall of the American empire, and it's about time they got off their fucking ass and actually started doing something about the future of this country. I know everybody says that shit, but nah, fuck these people. Like, no.
Standard apathy.
Well, and not just apathy. This is part of the problem with even representative democracy, right? Is representative democracy says that you represent your people. Well, sometimes your people are fucking idiots, and you need to tell them that they're idiots. And we just have a bunch of representatives who basically just they jerk off their constituency in order to get into office. And then we have other people who say that's exactly what they should be doing. And then we wonder why our society is fucked up. It's because nobody has any principles.
What would you say to someone who feels that a more autocratic uh, form of head of state should exist on the basis of this leader is usually more prepared, and usually most democratic institutions just have the same people come in anyway, so you might as well have them be efficient?
Yeah. So basically, efficiency is not the only metric by which you should judge a society, and sometimes being efficient is actually counterproductive. Look at Nazi Germany, right? They were pretty
Right.
they were pretty efficient. They were goddamn efficient at creating war machinery. They were efficient at creating a crazy war economy. They were efficient at conquering their enemies. They were efficient at doing this, at doing that. But you can be efficient in sprinting off of a cliff, and that's part of the problem with dictators and kings and all that kind of stuff, is when you can't question the authority, then that authority can basically drive the entire country off of a cliff as efficiently as possible. So that's no, like look at Imperial Japan, look at Nazi Germany, look at a whole bunch of historical examples of autocracy basically imploding. And then also, here's the other thing about autocracy: when you don't have the ability to challenge through like democratic representative means or whatever, that basically invites challenge and violence. That means that once your secular dictator or your king gets old, then he's going to be assassinated by a premier who wants to be king, and then they're going to take over, and then you're going to have all the same problems. And ultimately, I just view like fascist dictatorship or authoritarian communist dictatorship. I view it as just like neo monarchy, and it has all the problems of monarchy as well.
Okay. All right. Next question is by Crush. What would you say to de-radicalize young white males who are being pushed to the far right groups like the Groypers?
It's a tough one. I would say specifically with the Groypers, I'm just going to talk to Americans real quick because I live in the United States. The Spanish, so the fear, right? Is we're being. I'm just going to say it. All right. So the fear is that minority groups, including Jewish folks, are opening the borders in order to allow Hispanic immigration and Middle East and North African immigration into the United States. That way, the, I guess, native or European Anglo-descended majority is basically politically disenfranchised and all that kind of shit. What I would say is that a lot of this is fear and anxiety isn't justified. Majority of the immigrants that we have are from the basically Central America and South America. A lot of folks in Middle Central America and South America are culturally conservative. They tend to be Christian. They tend to be Catholic. They also tend, like, while they do have more left-wing economic sympathies, maybe we could use a few more left-wing economic sympathies as far as redistributive capitalism. But it's also up to us to educate new Americans in the United States of America what this country is all about. As an example, I went to a law enforcement academy where I'm pretty sure 70% of the class was Hispanic, and I'm pretty sure 2 of them spoke Spanish. The rest of them spoke English and did not speak Spanish. To me, that shows cultural assimilation, cultural integration. That shows that I don't want to say like people are interchangeable or replaceable, but that does show that we can coincide. Also, there's not as many differences as you think there are. Anglo-European colonial society basically has a narrative that we came to this continent, we conquered and killed the Native Americans, we took it over, and then some of them remained, and then we also have black and brown people who were a part of this country and contributed to it positively. When you're talking about Central and South Americans, they almost have an identical narrative, except for instead they were Spanish colonials and they raped the Native Americans instead of genociding them. So there's a lot of cultural parallels that I don't think are existential. And if anything, I think it's inevitable that what's going to happen is the American hemisphere, North, South, and Central, is going to be a pseudo-unified cultural European colonial society. Like, I think that's just going to happen.
Okay. Do you believe that the arguments of social conservatism are inherently tied to an ethnic component?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think
Fair enough.
so for instance, like I'm concerned with like Enlightenment values. I'm concerned with freedom of speech and the right to self-defense and all that kind of shit. I'm Irish. I'm a fucking bog dwelling potato eater, anti Anglo rabble rouser. That's my genetic heritage. I don't think that my genetic heritage dictates my values. And that's also what I would say about some of my best friends. There's one guy, I call him Captain America. He's an Air Force veteran. He's a law enforcement officer. He's my personal hero, basically. And he's Hispanic, and we agree on 99.9% of things, and we want 99.9% of things. Whereas there's a whole bunch of like Anglos and Europeans that we can't fucking stand each other. So no, I don't think cultural values are necessarily ethnic, and I think values can be taught.
What do you say to someone or a conservative Democrat or a Democrat of minority persuasion who is probably socially conservative, but votes Democrat because he feels Republicans are prejudicial towards them or racist, possibly?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't really think that. God damn it. I would basically say that we're not all like that, but unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of things that I think we need to communicate to the right. I think intergenerational wealth is a problem. I think the way the drug war is being manifested is a problem. I think that the way that we teach history, we need to actually look at the positives and negatives in history. We can't just say, oh, yeah, it was all good. Europeans came here, we conquered the shit out of it. Some Native Americans were happy about it. And, we freed the slaves in 1865 and the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964 and everybody was happy after that. That's kind of obviously not true. So we need to reckon with our past, and what we can't fucking do is we can't let liberals and progressives have a unilateral say over the future of the country when it comes to historical narratives. So what I would do, instead of trying to convince a liberal and progressive that they need to come over to the right wing because we have better ideas, what I want to convince the right wing of is we need to sort our shit out and decide what a right wing future looks like. Because right now all we have is contrarianism against progressive shit because it's so fucking wild. We actually don't have solutions of our own.
Fair. Okay. I think that's a lot of the same critiques of the skeptic community or like the atheist people of way back when.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question is by Gonzo. What are your thoughts on the hypocrisy of many popular figures of the left? So, and the fact that a significant amount of people look up to these figures as role models or good people. I'm not sure if he's referring to like someone like Mao or someone like Trotsky, or if he's referring to like someone on BreadTube. So I'll leave that open ended.
Yeah, unfortunately, appeals to hypocrisy just don't work in the argumentative space. It's good to point out that people are hypocrites, but ultimately, like lefties don't care because they only care about ideology. And when I say lefties, I include like liberals, progressives, and leftists. And then when it comes to the right wing, we already are aware that human beings are hypocritical. A majority of people on the right wing have some kind of religious upbringing. So we are taught from birth in Christianity that people are hypocrites. So pointing out that, like, I don't know, Hassan, although I fucking do it, fuck it. Hassan Piker literally just fucking jerks off fucking socialism all the goddamn time and then fucking buys a $3 million house in fucking West Hollywood. I don't care.
Destiny's tweet, yeah.
Dude, I don't care that he bought a $3 million fucking. Oh my god, thank you for giving me this opportunity to fucking talk about this shit. Holy fuck. So I don't give a fuck that he bought a $3 million house. Don't give a shit. What I care about is the fact that when you have that much fucking money and you talk about worker cooperatives and people seizing the means of production and poor people and the homeless and all this kind of shit, the fact that you don't turn around and say, I have money and I have power and I have the ability to impact people's lives for the positive in line with my espoused values. The fact that you don't instantaneously use that power in order to advocate for your fucking worldview reeks of fucking hypocrisy. It actually pisses me off because literally, like, we're not asking you to give up nice shit. Keep the nice shit. but just live your fucking values. And that's where like I don't understand how like hanging out in fucking Hollywood and fucking porn actresses all day furthers socialism. But what the fuck do I know? I'm a right wing chud, so whatever.
I mean, my favorite is the cultural Muslim argument. That one's always entertaining.
Oh, God.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I know.
I'm trying not to fucking stroke out over here.
Okay, next question. Should all sex work be legal? And if not, why? This is the classic libertarian, cultural conservative paradox.
No. Not all sex work should be legal. I think there's like safety concerns and all that kind of shit. I have a problem that I haven't reckoned with right now. There's a utilitarian argument for decriminalization that I think is powerful. So, for instance, like when it comes to the war on drugs, the Portuguese model or whatever, it's supposed to be like hyper efficient. You know, people, drug addicts don't end up in jail cells, all that kind of stuff. I think there's an argument for like decriminalization of sex work. But I still think that like kind of what I was telling you earlier is like just because something is legal or decriminalized does not mean that it should be socially encouraged. For instance, like I still think that if your day to day is like, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to get fucking piped by 50 dudes. Or you know what I want to do? I want to fucking have sex with like, 50 women in the next like 6 hours. I think there's something probably wrong with you. Everybody loves sex. Even conservatives love sex.
No.
But there's obviously risks. And what I get really frustrated with like sex positive fucking leftists with is they seem to think that like because we have like condoms and penicillin, we don't have to worry about STDs or pregnancy anymore. And it makes me want to rip my fucking hair out. So no, I would basically need like 90 minutes in order to talk about like sex positivity and sex negativity. And I would also need like a utilitarian study on like decriminalization of sex work versus legalization versus whatever. And also how it impacts society. Like if you have like legal sex work, but you push it off to the side culturally, is that better than a society that makes it illegal? I don't know the answer to that question.
Gotcha. Okay. Slight tangent because I mean, you've seen my Twitter. I'm pretty old school. Do you think sex before marriage should be actively discouraged, and should there be a law if so?
I don't think there should be a law. Damn, I'm a fucking hypocrite here.
Ain't that ironic?
Yeah, so I think like 15 to 25, you basically need to figure out what you want and what you want to do. I think serial monogamy should be the cultural norm. I also think that monogamy within a childbearing relationship should be the cultural norm. Whether or not it should be like a legal thing, no. Whether or not it should be a culturally enforced thing, maybe. But I just think at this point, again, I'm not religious. So I just think like I think serial monogamy and encouraging monogamy and also encouraging stable families, however that manifests itself. I think that's where we need to be. And by the way, like I do think it's a lot easier to have a stable family when you're not constantly sleeping with other people. So
I agree.
hot conservative take coming off the press.
How dare you?
Right.
On the flip side, do you think polygamy or the other one, I forgot, should be decriminalized or legalized?
I am super fucking worried that we're playing with fire here. Like really worried. I know for a fact that like men who can't establish families that want to, men who can't have sex when they want to, men who can't, basically like propagate. There's nothing more dangerous than a man who feels like he's backed in the corner. And if you look at polygamous societies, for instance, like Saudi Arabia, basically what you have is you have a whole bunch of like ultra wealthy chads,
Aristocrats, yeah.
Yep, at the top, who can have dozens upon dozens of wives because they can afford to do it because they're oligarchs. And then you have underemployed and unemployed men who can't afford their dowry. And I have to say, part of the reason why there are ripe recruits for jihadist terrorism is because there's a lot of men who feel like they don't have a stake in the future. So while like if somebody like I have like polyamorous people that comment on my videos, I know polyamorous people don't like to be stigmatized. My sincere fear is that if it becomes a cultural norm, we will really start to see an explosion in desperate and angry men who don't feel like they have a stake in the future, and I can't imagine a more toxic society. So no, I think cultural monogamy definitely needs to stay the norm. I don't know about decriminalization, and frankly, I'm really worried that we're opening up a can of worms here that libertarians and liberals just aren't really reckoned to, or they're not really willing to intellectually reckon with.
Okay. I did have a follow up on that Saudi Arabia point, but I feel like I need to move on. Let's see here. Bobal asks, do you feel like having Twitch debates is productive for swaying or introducing people to certain political ideas? Or do you think the entertainment of the arguments and insults get in the way of learning about either side in a sufficient way?
Yeah, I think it's like 80-20. So I would say 80% of people probably just want to see their favorite fucking guy dunk on their most hated guy or gal. I think that's a majority of it. And also, I feel like there's a lot of people who are ideologues. So like they see somebody get dunked on, and they're like, oh, maybe that person was wrong, so I'm going to move on to this different cult of personality. And I would say that's like 80% of it is people just looking for a cult of personality to follow. 20% of it is people who are actually really concerned with the arguments and the ideals. And I think those people can be swayed. And ultimately, this is still the exercise of political power. Whether you think that like people should be better than whether or not you think people should be better to like actually critically think about shit doesn't really matter. Politics is a cult of personality. It is a wielding of power. So it doesn't really matter one way or the other.
Cool. Okay. Migs asks, what are your thoughts on Dr. Wolf's democracy in the workplace as an alternative to the current capitalist system we have?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I just don't want it to be state enforced. So I'm perfectly fine with like democracy in the workforce. Again, I think democracy has its problems. I don't think that every executive corporate decision should be a referendum. But if you wanted to turn around and give every single person stock in the company, that way they can profit when the company profits. That way, when the company does well, they do well. I have no fucking problems with that whatsoever. But I think that should be incentivized through tax structures, not like legal fiat or enforcement. And that's my main problem with it. I don't think that people should have a gun stuck in their face and say you're no longer allowed to do private enterprise with capital. You have to be a worker co-op. I think I have ableist words to say about that.
Unbased. Okay. Let's. How old are you, by the way, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm in my early to mid 30s.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So Kingfish has a question. I don't know if he's here. He wants to ask it on VC. Is he here? I do not see him here. Okay, so I'm going to ask this question. Kingfish asks, are you amicable to the idea of market socialism and worker cooperatives, profit motive still being the mode of production as opposed to socialism with a planned economy? I think you answered this earlier, but I guess he wants to focus in on like the worker co-op issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think worker co-ops are potentially good, but again, like this is something that I wouldn't mind debating Bosch on, but it's kind of boring. Basically, what happens is like when you have a whole bunch of capital accumulated at the top, you have a lot more liquidity, which means that you can make better investments. So instead of paying your workers or giving them stock options or whatever, you basically have the ability to grow and expand. That's the power of a kind of similar to political structures like fascism versus democracy. Fascism can be very efficient when it's trying to achieve its goal. Now, it can achieve very nefarious and negative goals very quickly, but it can also achieve great goals really quickly. So that's kind of like the difference between, like a private company with a single owner or a board versus a worker cooperative. Ultimately, I don't give a shit. I think workers just need wages in order to raise families. I think they need benefits in order to raise families. Like I said, I think the government should intercede where there's market failures, and help everybody climb Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the existential pyramid. But I don't give a fuck. It literally, if the government came out tomorrow and they were like, "Hey, market socialism, every job has to be a worker cooperative," I wouldn't lose sleep over it.
Do you believe that market cooperatives are more efficient than standard business association structures?
No, I know they're not. They're probably better for the employees, but they're not more efficient. Virtually guaranteed.
I tend to agree with you, to be honest. Okay. What is your opinion of social democracy?
People throw that term around a lot. My frustration with it's like literally like I just like heavy taxes and a strong welfare state, and that's fucking social democracy. I mean, I don't give a shit. If we're talking about like the Nordic model, yeah, cool. But I don't know. I want like Switzerland. So I like if we're gonna do like the Nordic model, then I want state issued assault rifles too. So that's fine.
Okay, next question. Um, he asks, "I'm apolitical, not nihilistic. I just don't care for politics." He says he mainly goes on the server to debate religion.
Hmm.
Why do you think he should care about politics in general? And I can follow this up by saying like a lot of conservative, like religious people, especially like
Hmm.
maybe not as much Protestants, but like some Catholics, many Orthodox Jews, there's some conservative Muslims. I know for a fact won't vote because they feel it's contrary to their personal beliefs, or it's not helpful, or there's no utility in actually voting. What would you say to those people?
They're right. So no, what I would say is like you might not care about politics, but politics cares about you. The future of society is dependent on people standing up and making passionate arguments. If you're looking at the collapse of religion or the collapse of like moral or principled society, it's because people stopped advocating for it in public. They basically said, "Oh, well, we're just going to live and let live, and we're going to go into our enclaves and do our own thing." So basically what I'm saying is I don't want to hear you fucking bitching about how society doesn't have any religious morals or principles while simultaneously saying that you're not going to participate in it because it's not good enough. I think that's a contradictory position and you should evaluate it.
Fair. Okay. Next question. Um, how can we expect the next generation to not be materialist and nihilist when the history of U.S. foreign policy in the last 50 years has been mostly a form of might makes right and done mostly under nefarious and self-profiting purposes? Of course, the premise you can question.
Yeah, I think this is I think this is the that diagram where it's like a roller coaster of like bell curve where it's like America is fucking self-serving and shitty, and that's like the low part of the bell curve, and then it's like America fights for human rights, and then that's the high part of the bell curve, and then the other one, the next bottom trough, that's actually the high IQ take, is like America is self-serving and shitty. So basically what I don't like when people fucking point out this take or whatever is that like literally the entire like people are like, "Oh, the only reason why we're there is because of oil and rare minerals." And it's like, bitch, your entire fucking world runs on oil and rare minerals. Okay? Literally, like your car runs on fucking petroleum, natural gas plants run on natural gas. There's not a single thing on the literally 80% of this fucking room that I'm in has plastic in it, which is coming from petroleum. So pretending that that's not important is insane. Same thing with rare earth minerals. So the question during the Cold War, which ended pretty much when I was born, question during the Cold War is who's going to control the material wealth of the world, communists or mixed economy capitalist representative republic democracies? So I'm happy the mixed economy capitalist representative democracies won that fight, and that fight was important. Pretending that fight wasn't important is fucking smooth brain bullshit. And what's basically happened is a bunch of fucking lefties and progressives and pacifists have convinced you and convinced everybody that we could have the same level of material wealth by being pacifistic, and it's bullshit. This is part of the reason why I'm an apologist for American hegemony, is because I literally think the entirety of global commerce is completely reliant on the American military. So, Fuck that. Get on the high IQ take.
Do you believe the neocon argument, or I guess the neoliberal sort of Reagan argument of we should protect our interests in the world because economic interest for America makes the world go round?
Yep, pretty much. I think we can do it for like 80% cheaper, and I think we can do it on a more voluntary and ethical and moral basis. But yeah, I agree with like the moral premise.
That's interesting. Most people aren't willing to defend that anymore.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
that's why I'm a fucking 10-head genius.
There you go. All right. Do you feel like if the revolution, quote unquote, leftists, so I guess the vanguardists, idealist sort of heaven were to happen, that any of the popular figures that advocate for their ideas would participate in the takeover at all? So I guess, like, do you think Vosh would join the vanguard?
No. No, I don't.
I don't know.
I think propagandists and pundits are going to pundit and propagandize. I don't think they're going to do shit when it actually comes to like the heavy lifting. I think they're going to let all the fucking proles and peons fight it out in the streets and fucking kill each other. No, like that's no. That's part of the reason why I'm not too anxious about like an actual like military revolution, is because a lot of the pundits who are pushing it don't have the nutsack to do it themselves. And I think once the pearls realize that they've been propagandized into a bunch of bullshit to fucking kill each other, then they would basically back off. I also think that it's ultimately my job and the job of anybody who's responsible online to talk about why these ideas are stupid, and basically to get people to have like a more incremental perspective on how to change the world in a positive way. Revolutions are pretty awful in their consequences.
Okay. Next question is okay. I need you to answer this one in about at least 3 minutes because I need to take a piss. But anyway, do you believe rehabilitation is more important than punishment for criminals?
No. So I've made this argument in the past. I'll make this argument again. Basically, I think that there should be a tiered system for prison, and that tiered system should be fit to the prisoner. We were actually talking about this, so this is more of a progressive take. You could literally have 3 different wings of the jail cell: one for women, one for men, one for people who are high risk, including like gender nonconforming and trans folks. That way they don't get murdered or raped in either one of the other wings of the jails. Also, you can break down those 3 tiers into another 3 tiers, which is basically, like violent offenders who don't seem to be able to be rehabilitated. That way they're segmented away from the population and they don't victimize other people. You could have a moderate jail cell where it's like people who just want to serve their sentences. They don't want to do any kind of rehabilitation. And then you could do a rehabilitation wing in which you have access to like college courses and GED programs and literacy programs and maybe like reduced security and all that kind of stuff. And the rehabilitative wing could basically be contingent on a lower, not contingent, but it could have a lower tier of security based on the behavior of the participants. So if people were willing to be chill and actually work to get their shit together, then they could actually do so. And then if people just want to serve their sentence, they could do so. And if there were people who were, either raping or killing other people in prison or jail, you could segment that portion of the population so they can't victimize other people. I don't know if that was 3 minutes or not, but I talked for as long as I could.
I'm here, bro. Don't worry. I made it. Appreciate that.
Perfect.
All right. Well, I guess on a follow-up for that, what do you say about maybe social conservatives who believe that deterrence is the ultimate objective, prevention?
Yeah, I mean, I do not agree with fucking people who say that deterrents are nothing. That's clearly bullshit. People are gonna commit crime anyways. Why make anything illegal? I fucking hate that argument so much. So no, deterrence is important, and actually, part of the reason why I want to move to like a Portuguese or like decriminalization model, is because we do lock up a lot of lower tier drug offenders, basically like for marijuana possession, alcohol possession, all that kind of stuff. I think that's a waste of resources. I think where we should actually spend real time, basically keeping people behind bars are repeat crimes, burglary being one of them. That's a felony that basically burglars are in and out all of the time. And then also violent offenders. I think any money gleaned from decriminalization and the creation of like recreational marijuana on a federal level should go back into the schools and should go back into the criminal justice system in order to fund incarceration for people who actually need to be in jail or prison.
Okay. All right. I'm just responding to this chat here. Let's see. Next question after that. This is an interesting question. I always love asking this. What policy did you realize you were most wrong about, and what did you completely 180 on?
I mean, I'm base, so I haven't changed my mind on it. Like, I don't fucking know.
That's the answer.
Yeah, no. Actually, I would say I was much more libertarian on economics for a really long time. I was like, just bootstrap, dumbass. That was probably my advice to anybody. And then working with people and then realizing that like a quarter of the population is actually dumb as fuck and literally can't bootstrap. That made me reconsider like one, statism, and two, basically redistributive economics. I think it's necessary in order to propagate a stable society. And then also, I would say statism in general. I think I kind of thought that a conservative libertarian society could exist where we wouldn't even need the state because people could be like self-realizing and they could just kind of figure their shit out and handle their business. As I interacted with more and more people, I realized that a state was necessary in order to whip people's asses to keep them in line and also to redistribute basic needs in order to keep people from starving to death because that, they would otherwise.
Isn't the common libertarian argument against that is that the state acts like a crutch?
Sure. And I think I agree with them, but I don't even think we do a good job of taking care of poor people now. So the libertarian argument that we would just do better charity in the future if we abolish the state, I think is total bullshit. I think people are ultimately self-serving, and if they don't see human suffering, they don't care about it. So they don't even care when they do see suffering. So I do not trust charity to replace the state. I think that's bullshit.
Okay. All right. Friday Living asks, what are your thoughts on abolishing the police, basically ACAB, and the power that cop unions have in local politics and state politics, for that matter?
I think abolishing the police is like one of the dumbest takes that I've ever heard. I think that like you can argue that like the role of law enforcement can be divested into like multiple roles. So for instance, like field social workers, I'm trying to think of what else, like field social workers, truancy officers, and administrators for schools. There's a whole bunch of things that like cops do that they really realistically shouldn't do. They really should protect lives they should protect lives and property and enforce traffic laws. That literally should be like their three roles, and then the other one should be divested into other groups. I think that's the strongest part of defund the police. But ultimately, like if you try to create a community-based security force, you just recreated the law enforcement. It's so fucking stupid. It kills me. And then what was the other one? Police union representation in politics. I don't give a shit. I think law enforcement unions or whatever should collect dues and basically I don't know, like represent their constituents in labor negotiations, and maybe, just maybe, the state, not the state, but municipalities should pay for like a communal insurance fund. That way defense is not like a legal defense for cops is not like something that's done by the union. It's done by just like a communal insurance pool. That way we can get rid of some of the conflict of interest, but that's really the only thing that I think is even worthy of criticism. It's like a non-issue to me.
Hmm. Do you think moving to a third-party insurance program for police malfeasance or malpractice is like actually actually removing any unclean hands from that issue, or do you think it's just going to be the same issue all over again, just in a separate modality?
It might be a separate issue in a different modality, but I think the main criticism of police unions representing like shitbags is that they're police unions. They're law enforcement veterans who became lawyers who then protect dirty cops because it's their like moral duty to do so. So that just feels particularly shitty. Maybe if it's just like a normal scumbag lawyer instead of a scumbag lawyer who used to be a cop, that would make everybody, be more okay with it. I don't really give a shit one way or the other, to be honest.
Okay. Next question. Do you think American schools are too easy?
Yes. 100%. American schools are fucking dog shit. Holy shit. I while you were gone, I was talking about how I think there needs to be like 3 tiers for the criminal justice system, like one for basically shitbags who can't stop being violent, one for people who just need to get by, and one for people who are like, basically want to rehabilitate and do better. I absolutely think that education needs to be similarly segmented. When I went to school, there was kind of like, the remedial level, then there was the normal level, then there was the gifted level, and then there was like the advanced placement level and the international baccalaureate. Basically, I think these need to not be like kind of like unconscious stratifications that we've made. These need to be intentional. What I mean by that is literally you need a school for people who are assholes who literally you're just trying to make sure that they live to their 18th birthday. Then you need a separate school for people who just need a diploma. Then you need basically like an average to above average school system, and then you need like an elite level for people, and all of this should be available to everyone regardless of jurisdiction or zip code. If you're a fucking genius in the fucking boondocks, you should still have a shot at a quality education and a quality secondary education.
Okay. Next question. Do you think an anarchist society could ever work, and if so, how would it?
No. I don't. I think the second you move to an anarchist society, basically you reconstitute the state really quickly, whether that's like a city council or something. City council, community militias, all that kind of shit. I think you basically build back the state by another name within like 30 seconds. So no, I don't believe that an anarchist society can exist. I think the best thing that we could hope for is push for people to be as independent from the state as possible, and then the state could kind of like fade into the background a little bit. But I always think there's going to be a state. So.
Okay. Do you think the need to move towards renewable energies and increase conservationism for the survival of humans on the planet? So, this is poorly worded, but do you think basically climate conservatism and environmentalism is paramount in order to exist?
Yes. So basically, I want Republicans to go back to being like Teddy Roosevelt Republicans, where we give a shit about the environment again. And also on top of that, like from a Christian conservative standpoint, God does not say fucking, like rape and murder the dolphins and pour oil into the oceans and fucking club baby seals to death because all of this shit is yours and you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. God in the Bible says you are a steward, which means that a steward is somebody who watches after the kingdom while the king is away. That means that you are charged with maintaining it. So yeah, absolutely. Conservatives need to get off their fucking their idea that like being right wing means you have to drive a fucking diesel truck at 120 miles an hour, like shooting fucking like rolling coal into the fucking air while murdering fucking bald eagles with like fully automatic shotguns. Like that's the fact that we've allowed ourselves to be propagandized by fucking uber capitalist fucking corporations in order to think that that is right wing is fucking cringe to me, and I'm so sick of it.
Okay. Well, do you think it's necessary towards how far would you go with this? Do you think it's necessary for the stability of society, as in like resources, or do you feel that it's like paramount in order to basically exist on an inhabitable planet?
I would say that we need to move to like nuclear and electric as quickly as possible. I think climate science is pretty clear that carbon it at least heavily correlates with like global warming and global weirding. There's a video on it. I forget what the fuck it's called. If I find it, I'll link it. But basically, the case for carbon being the thing that's causing global warming is pretty clear. We emit gigatons of them, so if we're going to continue to use like fossil fuels and natural gas and all that kind of stuff, we also need to invest in carbon capture. On some level, there's always going to be some level of like carbon fuel usage, for heavy equipment and shit. But we do need to move away from it technologically as quickly as possible, or we need to invest in carbon capture so we can reach like a net zero emission or a net negative emission as quickly as possible.
Okay. Next question is: can the political divide between the nationalist right and the libertarian right be bridged, or is there a
Yes.
possibly a side that you'd like to come out on top?
Yes. Yeah, I think it can be bridged. One of the things that about like Nationalist for some people implies like ethno-nationalism. I'm not an ethno-nationalist. I'm a civic nationalist. So paperwork nationalism, if you will. But I think civic nationalism can be bridged with libertarianism, and then also I think that you can't live in a libertarian society if everybody else is an authoritarian statist. So if nationalists wanted to say, hey, nationalism, borders, civic institutions, civic virtue, and public education is necessary in order to maintain a more liberal or libertarian society, I absolutely think that can be sold to libertarians. Anti-border libertarians are fucking suicidally stupid assholes.
Gotcha. Okay. Anti-border libertarians are notoriously stupid assholes. What do you say to missionary conservatives who feel that they need to go ahead and spread their religion as much as possible, and where that would coincide or that would conflict with nation states, the modern nation state?
I mean, good luck. Like do it in a liberal democratic way where you're not like, hey, you either convert to my religion or I'll fucking kill you, and you have my blessing. But realistically, I think we're all dealing with the death of God right now. I understand there's plenty of religious folks, but I think that scientism and a lot of other like nihilist hedonism. I think it's the de facto religion of America, whether we realize it or not. So good luck to the religious people. That's pretty much what I got to say.
I ask this because often, like, I have very conservative Muslim friends and Catholic friends, of course, who feel that going back to a empire or a religious based expansionist government is the only way to sustain a long lasting society. And I have some sympathy towards that because I mean it was only 100 years, literally only 100 years ago, where like the last I would consider religious expansionist empire fell.
Mhm.
Do you think that this would be sustainable in the modern society, or this is just impossible to do in a paradigm of nation states?
It's pretty much impossible to do unless you want to implement like a CCP style, like authoritarian government, and you would basically need to be like a neo-authoritarian super state. And I think ultimately you would collapse because most people don't want it. So I think the primary contention. So I know a lot of people blame the Jews for manipulating everybody in order to be
You
like
have
more.
no idea how many.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They blame the Jews for manipulating everybody in order to be secular. I don't think I'm secular because the Jews manipulated me into being secular. I think what happened was I was raised with a very literalist, dogmatic interpretation of religion. I think I grew older and I realized that the world was more complex. After I realized that the world was more complex, I started asking questions about the fundamental worldviews I've been given as a child. As I realized how big the universe was and how big, the planet was and how many different religions and all that kind of stuff, I couldn't understand religion from the dogmatic perspective that had been given to me as a child. So as a result, while still believing in principles and morality and probably a deistic creator, who I don't know, I literally don't know whether or not there's an afterlife. That's about as much as I can say exists within a realm of certainty for me. But I don't think that like so for instance, like if you were talking about like the neo-Nazi or ethno-nationalist side, I don't think the Jews are manipulating us because they have like a blood feud over ethnicity. And then when it comes to like the Christian nationalist side, I don't think that we have a religious feud that stretches back 2,000 or 3,000 years. I literally think this is like the Nietzschean death of God, where we're reconciling with dogmatic religion in the face of scientific exploration, and not everything lines up. And I think that's what's responsible for an increasingly like secular and nihilistic society, not some kind of like intentional manipulation by nefarious actors.
Do you believe that governments that do not separate church and state are necessary or could be utilitarianly useful, even if you don't necessarily dogmatically believe in all of the metaphysical connotations that comes with?
I'm way more Jordan Peterson than I am Saudi Arabia on this shit. I think the important part to preserve is like the ethic and the principle, not necessarily like the dogmatic belief. I don't know if instituting like a top down theocracy is realistic. As a matter of fact, I don't know about y'all. But for me, the writing on the wall is that we are probably going to become an increasingly secular and more secular society as globalism and the internet and cell phones and smartphones, as that kind of breaks down the barriers between cultures and societies and languages. I see it trending in one direction, and I don't see it as irreversible. That's actually part of the reason why I like perennialism as like a religious philosophy, is because it's something that can survive the test of time. It's something that can survive the test of conflicting religions. It's something that can survive dogmatism. Also, it's something that I don't know if y'all saw like UFOs and shit last year. It's something that can survive contact with aliens, which I think is like a possibility. So I don't think that we're the only living creatures in the galaxy or the universe. Whereas if you look at like a dogmatic religion, then God specifically said at this specific time that I am interceding with humans. I am giving them very specific communications and edicts and mores and morals, and I expect them to live by that. When you bump into creatures who live on a different planet, I don't know what you do with that story. So that's where I think like perennialism, deistic monotheism, I think those things are a lot more sustainable into the future, whereas like dogmatic theocracy is probably on its way out.
Okay. The next thing we have here is what do you believe is the origin of financial or wealth inequality between different races in America, and what could we do to overcome it? And do you think it's urgent to overcome it?
So yeah, like I know like there's like variant factors, right? So intergenerational wealth, education, IQ, food quality, like all that kind of stuff. All of these things are going to have some factor in it. I think regardless of the variation in those factors, we have to control the variables that we can control. Right now, if you're a poor person in America, chances are that you're going to have a dog shit upbringing, and you might not even get like you might not even be forced to read a book or forced to deal with education material until you're like 4 or 5 years old and you get to pre-K or kindergarten, depending on your state, right? That's way too fucking long to not be encountering educational material. And so basically we have to control what we can control. I think tablets and educational electronics should be widely available and cheap. And I also think that we have to look at like early childhood education as a major factor in human outcome. I also think that quality of education is a major factor in human outcome. Not everybody is going to be a fucking physicist. Some people are going to have to fucking take out the garbage and shit. But just because certain demographics, whether that's like linguistic, ethnic, cultural, or whatever, don't do as well as other demographics, doesn't mean you don't socially control all of the variables that you can control. And I think that's what pisses me off when people talk about like different races or language groups or cultures doing better or worse from an education standpoint. I think they use that as an excuse to say this is the best we can do when it's clearly not. And that's why I get fucking crazy butthurt about it.
Okay. I don't know. That's hard for me because I'm a pretty practicing person. It's hard. It's hard for me to reconcile like perennialism with the current day state of affairs because I think you end up in the same problem that nihilists or people of that persuasion do, because you are too open to axioms changing that I don't think it's sustainable. But I understand your point that, like, in all fairness, like most theocracies are too dogmatic to be able to function as a primary country in the world stage. So I understand.
Yeah, and yeah, it's fucking hard. Unfortunately, I don't have simple solutions. That's part of the reason why. Part of the reason why I'm such a fucking centrist is because I don't have simple solutions for people. Sorry, life is complex and it sucks sometimes.
All right. Next question is, let's see. For Joe shit. We know that in America, there's a huge disparity in wealth between. Oh wait, we already read that. How would you approach a friend to bring them back to reality when they are sort of in the black hole of QAnon or deep into internet dark web politics?
I don't know, and if you find a solution, tell me. I have a brother-in-law who has childhood asthma, who refuses to get vaccinated. Almost every single person in his family has yelled at him, including his ultra boomer conservative pro MAGA cop relatives. I don't know, man. I just feel like some people have like psychological breaks, and all you can do is just like be there for them in a positive way, and just kind of push them a little bit. It fucking sucks. If you find out a solution, you tell me, because I think there's some people who are receptive to new arguments, and I think there's some people who literally have psychotic breaks with reality, and it's really hard to reel those people back in.
Fair. Okay, let's see. Next one is Joe shit again. He says, you mentioned positive sentiments towards environmentalist projects. We know that third world countries, those that provide sort of raw materials in the International Division of Labor, don't currently have economic conditions to transition into healthier production complexes and stray away from nature damaging activities. Basically, they're not industrialized enough to be able to use um, environmentally efficient supply chains. How do you think this problem could be overcome, and what should be the role of internationalist policies led by capitalist and socialist superpowers?
So basically, this is kind of like almost the Iran question, right? Because they want nukes, they want to be modern, but we don't want them to have like nuclear technology. But we also want everybody to modernize their economies, and also, like Belize and Mexico and shit. Like, they obviously have their own challenges. Haiti is another good example. Basically, what I think we should do is we should export these technologies, but if they're state secrets, or if they're lucrative for us as intellectual property, then we basically need to lease these under a rental agreement. What I'm picturing here, literally, like I would call the fucking Shah tomorrow if I could, and I would say, you abandon your fucking nuclear program. We will literally build like brand new state of the art like nuke facilities in your country. But guess what? It's guarded by the fucking United States military. It's 50 miles outside of town, and if you try to fucking take it, then literally the nuclear material like drops down into a fucking bunker where it's not usable, and we fucking drop a Moab on the facility. Like that's the kind of shit where, like, obviously that's pretty extreme. But if ecological catastrophe is around the corner, then we might need to invest in other countries from a energy perspective, in order to try to basically get them up to snuff as quickly as possible. So it's tough.
Okay. He's a um yeah, it's hard to play that game, it's kind of hypocritical if you tell everybody like, hey, you can't use this, right?
Yeah, you
Um
can't use this, but you need to use this in order to save the planet, but we don't want to give it to you because you could use it in a bad way. That's like a really hard few sentences to string together.
do you think it's yeah, it's really hard, especially after modern countries who have basically decimated countries who are willing to give nuclear power, things like over Libya being the most recent example, I think. Um okay. Uh on the topic of our wonderful leaders. What is your opinion on the likes of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and progressives, or the dichotomy between those folks and progressives in the modern Democratic Party?
Oh man, I think the right wing should be fucking jumping for joy at this point. Basically, basically what happened was Biden and Harris used progressive fucking virtue signaling in order to get into fucking office, and then they just ruled as like centrist Democrats. Like, so like I don't know. Like, Biden was really slow to, up immigration caps. He was really fucking slow to shift policy in Afghanistan. He obviously is a capitalist. He, wants to fund the police. He doesn't want to defund the police. I would say that the criticism from leftists is that, like, Democrats will basically, jerk you off with a bunch of rhetoric, but then they won't ultimately do anything. I think the Biden and Harris administration has proven that. Now, obviously, they're probably more like centrist and liberal and progressive than like a majority of like right wingers or conservatives. And obviously, like, I hate their stances on like guns, but what they say and what they do are two different things that I think we should be recognizing that.
Okay. Next question is, how do you know that Christianity isn't literal or is literal, and we're not going to hell for disobeying the word of God? And he also wants to congratulate you for getting 10,000 on YouTube.
Oh, thank you kindly. I don't know whether or not it's literal. I can only use logic, which sucks because I'm staking my eternal soul on logic, which doesn't feel good. But basically, it would be very strange to me if the planet was 13 billion years old. Humanity is probably between like 10,000 and 300,000 years old, depending on how you define it. We've probably had like 3,000 years of like written history, and then like 1,000 years into written history, God was like, "Hey, I'm actually going to manifest myself as a dude in Israel, and I'm gonna like tell people what's up." Like that. That's just like really a strange conception to me. Not saying it's outside the realm of possibility, but it's just it just seems not really likely to me. Also, when you look at like humanity in general or whatever, it's pretty clear that there are some moral norms that were completely acceptable in a biblical context that are not acceptable anymore, and you would be really hard pressed to find people who aren't dogmatists who would defend those moral principles. So the way that I think it actually works is human beings seek a connection with the eternal and the divine. Either through meditation or hallucinogens, they try to connect to the Godhead. They understand some deep revelatory truth about the universe and existence and morality. They
Your
write.
mic is going in and out.
Oh, sorry about that. People who do either meditate or do hallucinogens understand some things about like morality and existence and all that kind of stuff. They write that down and then they pass that on to the next generation. And then we have basically a 3,000 to 10,000 year history in the Bible of mystics and kings writing down their accumulated wisdom, which is not to be discounted. That's a beautiful thing. But I don't take it literally because I think these were mystics and kings who were doing their best with the information they had.
What would you say about theologians who took them very literally, and they were clearly very smart people? I don't know how familiar you are with maybe Christian theologians. I know people like Ibn Taymiyyah might come to mind, or the great imams, as they call them, the four traditions. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit easier with Islam because, like, with Islam, there's like a monotheistic Godhead, whereas with Christianity, it's the Trinity. So I think there's like a little bit more flexibility with Islamic monotheism. But then my issue is with like, so for instance, like in Islam, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was
Appreciate
allowed.
that, by the way.
He was allowed to marry a very young girl and consummate the marriage at a very young time. Which is not something that we would accept in the modern era, right? So what I would say is, if literalists want to take it literally, that's totally fine. But I would say that is like almost like a moral assumption at this point that this would not be acceptable. So what I would say, so for instance, like Muhammad did some positive things, and I would say ending female infanticide in the Arabian Peninsula was one of those. If you're a monotheist, he also ended paganism, and probably along with paganism, he probably ended a decent chunk of animal sacrifice, which would also be a positive. So basically, what I would say is that Muhammad, peace be upon him, had some religious revelations, some spiritual revelations that caused him to look around and say, "This society is fucked up. We can do better. I know we can do better, and I feel charged by God to improve this world." And that's how the faith started. Of course, there's been some pretty negative shit done in the name of Islam, the same way that negative shit has been done in the name of Christianity. But that's kind of where I think these people can be divinely inspired without actually being the avatars of God Himself.
Do you think, and I'm chilling because yeah, do you think that is the belief in a monotheistic Godhead is a functionally superior argument in general, just to frame that as an axiom, because you have more leeway into your intellectual arguments?
Yeah, 100%. I think that you can say that there was nothing and then there was something, and there's a creative and ordered force in the universe. We can observe creation and we can observe order. And as a result, there has to be some kind of force that's creating that order and creation. So, regardless of whether or not that's true or whatever, I think that those are like observable and it logically follows. So, I think that's like a really defensible position, even to atheists, because let's be real here. Atheists don't know whether or not God exists. They're literally just saying, I think religion's dumb and I don't think God exists. But they don't know. They're taking a shot in the dark the same way most people are. And when it comes to religious folks who are monotheists, if you observe the natural universe, you can say there is creation and there is order. And there's some force that underlies that. And oftentimes when people talk about God, that's what they're talking about.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and see the next question here. I think you just made the unmoved mover argument without realizing it. All right. Why should countries abandon their nuclear program to be modern when that is the only way to guarantee their independence without U.S. intervention? I think that's a very good question, actually.
I mean, I'm an American, so I'm biased towards America. You should give it up because America should win. So there you go. Give it up, Iran. We want that sweet oil. So it's not a practical argument from like an existential thing. The reason why we haven't invaded North Korea is because they have nukes. So
at least you admit it.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. What are your main problems and criticisms towards leftist and Marxist epistemology, specifically materialist frameworks? The history of the world is basically just class struggle. How do you feel about that? Do you feel it's reductionist or in what way?
Oh yeah, thanks for leading me there, because I was going to say that it's incredibly fucking myopic. Thinking that like materialism is the only thing that matters or the only thing that motivates people is fucking stupid as shit. And not just that, but like one of my frustrations is that I feel like leftists can have a lot of really good descriptive criticisms of material reality, but because they're idealists, a lot of their prescriptions are just not. Since a lot of them are idealists and since a lot of them are academics, their prescriptions are just like they're so unimplementable or do not account for human nature at all that like it's borderline laughable. Like when I hear like, and also like social constructionism too, when I get into arguments with like progressives who basically are like, oh yeah, everything's a social construct, nothing is biologically related, I just want to like cheese grate my eyeballs. Like I have no idea how the fuck, like there's nothing in observable reality that backs up their statement besides like an ideological bias that they want to back up by just confirming their worldview like logically over and over and over again. Human beings are not born as blank slates. I very much doubt we'll get to utopia. A lot of prescriptions that come out of like left-wing, either progressive or Marxist thinkers are so idealistic and disconnected from reality. It fucking hurts me physically.
I tend to agree with you there. It's crazy.
It's painful.
All right. Does he believe that Afghanistan will be better off under Taliban rule?
Depends. If they build a coalition government and they actually represent like the Northern Alliance and the Hazaras, or like the Farsi speaking people, and they actually implement them into the government, and then they don't, like, I don't know, walk women out into fucking fields and execute them for refusing to wear fucking the incorrect fucking uniform of the day or whatever, then I think that long term they might have a better say in what happens in Afghanistan than the Americans. But if they go back to some 1990s shit and they just start executing all of their political dissidents and they murder families and fucking, throw acid in girls' faces for trying to get educated and all that kind of shit, nah, like, fuck them. And so I think we should base our approach to Afghanistan. To Afghanistan based off of what they do. So.
Gotcha. Okay, next question is, do you think the U.S. has a moral obligation to save? Well, he says Afghan translators, but we can broaden that out to anybody who has assisted the U.S. military.
Yeah, some level, but hold on one second. Somebody's asking for your Discord link, so I'm gonna send it.
Appreciate it.
So what I would say is
Tell them to follow me too. Go ahead. I'm
all
sorry.
right. No problem. So basically, what I would say is, yeah, we have some duty. My only thing is, there are lots of Afghans who did help us, and there's lots of Afghans who basically fucked us, and they took money on both ends. They took bribes on both ends. They played to the Taliban. They were double agents, all that kind of shit. Basically, I would want to see some kind of vetting process where, like, basically somebody who played both sides doesn't get in. And the people who actually did help us are the people who get in. As far as like women and children of like Afghan soldiers and all that kind of stuff, yeah, sure, fuck it, whatever, let them in. But ultimately, like, we've had less than 20,000 troops in Afghanistan for the past 20 years. So basically, what I would say is that it would not take much of a large fighting force to actually contest with the Taliban and bring them to the negotiating table. You would basically need 20,000 crack infantry and some close air support. That would not be very expensive. And if the Taliban did go back to like murdering the shit out of their political dissidents and executing families and throwing acid in little girls' faces, I am perfectly okay with like funding the Northern Alliance and giving them some kind of like technical expertise so they can fight. Completely comfortable with that.
Gotcha. Okay. So we are nearing our last few questions here. I know we've been going on for almost 2 hours, but we will finish up soon. What are your views of progressive conservatives, those who have conservative views on money and the economy and business, plus progressive sympathies towards social and environmental issues? So
I
your Rockefeller Republicans.
Yeah, I would actually wonder if I fit into this definition. I think Teddy Roosevelt defined himself as a progressive Republican, and he did like a lot of trust busting, and obviously he cared about environmentalism and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that's if that's what we mean by it, then I hope that's the future. Like, I hope we can be liberal or libertarian on social issues. We can still push for like socially conservative perspectives, but not be dicks about it. And then when it comes to harder things like the economy and productivity and education and civic principle and all that kind of stuff, then we should basically play some pretty hardball politics. So that's my problem, is that like people think that because you don't care about like gay people and you do care about like black and brown people or whatever, that means that like you have to like start drinking soy and going to orgies and like fucking doing meth and shit. And that's not what that means. You can basically be nice and kind to LGBTQ folk and care about black and brown folk without becoming a degenerate asshole.
Okay, fair enough. Um, I have a couple other questions that aren't pinned, but I guess we can go as long as you and I. We're almost done. This is
Yeah,
basically the
there's
last.
I sent somebody your link, Verdant Force. If he wanted to, or if they, not sure what their gender is, if they wanted to get in here and ask a question, I'd be happy to answer another half dozen questions over the next 5 to 10 minutes to make sure that they have an opportunity to do so, and then we can call
Sure.
it, and then I'm gonna go play some video games.
Gotcha. Okay. The next question is, what is your opinion on abortion, and how strict would you be legally in terms of enforcing restrictions,
Um,
if any?
yeah, so I am very against abortion on a moral level. I basically think that this is a pragmatic solution, not a moral one. I think under 20 weeks it should be legal. After 20 weeks, if the mother is healthy and the fetus is healthy, that shit should be fucking banned and considered infanticide. So
20
that's
weeks. How many months is that? 6? 7?
20 divided by 4. I want to say it's 5.
5? Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why I picked that is because that's basically when the central nervous system is fully developed and the fetus is capable of feeling pain. And you're also like 2 to 3 weeks away from viability.
So the Orthodox rule in Islam is 3 months for 3 exceptions.
Mhm.
I generally go towards that because I think anyone who wants to do anything later has wasted their time deliberating on nothing.
Hmm.
And honestly, if you don't have a valid excuse, it's kind of BS in my opinion. Just because you just didn't feel like it, like all of a sudden at 4 months you regret your decision. I think that's not very healthy. Um,
Yeah, the caveats that I put in there or whatever is basically like if there's great risk to the mother, like it's literally going to kill the mother before pregnancy. Obviously, I think the mother doesn't have to die in order to protect her unborn fetus. And then when it comes to the fetus itself, if there's like horrific genetic defects or basically the child has some disease that it's just going to be suffering for its entire life, and it's going to be like a short, brutal, suffering life. I think those are things to factor into consideration. But basically, after 20 weeks, healthy fetus, healthy mom, I think that shit should be banned 100%.
okay, gotcha. Um, let's see. I don't think I have any more questions for you now. I think was it we basically hit about 2 hours almost on the dot. So uh
All
I
right.
have one more.
All
Okay.
right, and then
Should we send
I'm
yeah,
asking
go ahead.
Verdant Force if they made it in. But yeah, go ahead.
Should we send troops and aircraft in to help extract our Afghan allies, or should we just grant anyone who just has a visa or gets approved?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should probably hold Kabul airport for maybe like another month. And then if the Taliban get into a gunfight with us, we should kill the shit out of them. Um, but basically, I think we should literally make it a number one military logistics effort to say, hey, if you worked with us in the past, show up to Kabul airport. If the Taliban try to kill you on the outskirts of the airport, we'll kill the shit out of them. We're gonna need some kind of identification in order to verify that you were actually like a soldier or a government official or something like that, and then we'll airlift you out free of charge. Besides that, though, no, I don't think we have like some we don't have to like reinvade in order to move out a few million people who may or may not have helped us. Basically like that was almost like an argument that was happening during a debate last night, and it was insane to me because basically like if you said we have two options here. The Taliban is probably like a force between like I don't know 20,000 and 150,000 like fighting aged men who either politically affiliate with the Taliban or are like militarily a part of the Taliban. We held them off with 20,000 crack soldiers for the past 20 years to pretend that we should airlift a few million people out of Afghanistan instead of training 30,000 Afghans to actually fight for their own fucking country is so suicidally fucking stupid to me that I don't know what to do with that logic. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can train 30,000 people to actually fight, or you can airlift 3 million people. Which one is the most, like, which one makes more sense here? And unfortunately, a lot of, like, lefties and liberals and progressives says airlift 3 million people. So I don't know what the fuck to think about that shit.
So I have one more question. I don't know if your Twitter follower is made it or not. But
Yeah, they made it, so we're good.
okay. If they can either DM me or ask the question in AMA questions chat, that would be great.
Oh no,
Uh,
they asked. I think they asked the abortion question actually.
oh, okay. All right. Um, let's see here. The last question I have for you tonight is: should the U.S. defend Taiwan if it's attacked by China?
Yep. Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Fair.
It sucks. But sorry, 1 second. I just clicked on a DM instead of hanging out on that fucking thing. So basically, yeah, it sucks. But the CCP is probably one of the most evil regimes that I can think of. So if they want to basically get a few million people into what I would view as like mental authoritarian slavery, yeah, I can't really think of a better reason to draw a line. And so I know that's going to rub the CCP wrong. But basically, what I would tell the CCP if I was like president or whatever is I would say, hey, listen, I know y'all want Taiwan back, but basically, in order if you want Taiwan to be back, then you need to stop, like, I don't know, genociding ethnic minorities and sending them to re-education camps and being a dick to your neighbors and like we would need to use Taiwan as like extreme leverage to actually get the cultural reforms that we were hoping we were going to get from them over the past 20 to 30 years, where we got the economic reforms where they become more market-based, but they're still an authoritarian shithole. So no, until they stop being an authoritarian shithole, I'm not willing to give up Taiwan to them. So, or here we go. We can evacuate the whole island of Taiwan, and then they can just have the fucking rock. I'm fine with that. So, yeah, that's another
Gotcha.
option.
Someone just pinged your Discord, so good. All right. The last question is a meme question. This is actually for a real question.
Mm-hmm.
Ass or tits?
I'm a tits guy, but I married an ass
Really?
woman. Yeah. So I don't know what that tells you. So I'm a tits guy, but I married an ass woman. I don't regret it, and yeah. So I guess like ass is better, but I grew up in the '90s, man. Like '90s was like
When dancers were like, yeah,
it was like anorexic thin, 5'10" with
right.
big old fake boobies. That's how I was raised. So that's kind of like what's in my mind's eye. But I married a woman who has a very pretty face and a really big butt. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that says about me as a person.
Well, I guess that means like you know the difference between the fun girl and the girl you take home to mother and you put a ring on.
Yeah, and maybe and subconsciously that might be exactly what happened. I have a very healthy and happy son, so I don't know if there's like some stupid fucking caveman DNA that's like, hey, ass is where it's at. But at least my subconscious thing made a good choice, so I'm good with it.
All right. I think we're done.
Sure.
If you want to hang around or just join the Discords or go play video games, you're more than happy to.
Yeah,
I appreciate you stopping.
Yeah, we have like a weekly game night on my Discord. So it's a private Discord, but we do like invites if people ask for it, and we do like a weekly game night where we play Halo. So I got to get to those fellas and start shooting them in the face and screaming. But no, it was a blast. I appreciate y'all, and it's nice. Oftentimes, like when I talk about like lefty shit, and I descriptively agree with the left, they're like, "Oh, you're a lefty," and then I'm like, "No, I promise you, I'm still a right winger." And then I give right wing takes, and they're like, "Oh, you're an asshole," and I was like, "I already told you that."
I think like when even me, I was like, okay, well, I mean, I wouldn't be against a multi-payer sort of state Medicare system, and then they're like, oh, you're like you're basically a sock down. I'm like, no, bro, like gay marriage is not a thing for me, bro. I don't know who told you that, but like that it consists of more than just believing wealth redistribution to be a sock down.
Well, shut up, you Nazi. You believe in your religion? What an asshole. So
I'm a bigot. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I understand. This is a right wing Discord after all, so it's okay.
There you go. Oh my god, he did the meme, dude.
I did it.
He did. Oh,
I did it.
Right.
I did the meme. But no, I appreciate.
I have to shill for myself just for 5
Oh,
seconds.
please, please do. We still got like 40 people in my thing. So yeah.
If you would please go ahead and tell people to or ask people on your Twitter to go ahead and shoot me a follow. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, and you're saying on the Politics Discord, is that the main account, or do you want them to follow your account?
Oh, my account personally, because I do mostly I was a staffer for DeSantis, bro. So I am looking to get into the politics Twitter, but I'm not looking to get into your level of invasion of politics Twitter. So
yeah, 100%.
So any help that you can give, I would really appreciate that, and I would look forward to working with you in the future on like whatever you want to talk about on Twitter or something like that, or any ideas you want to shoot back and talk about. I could probably give you some decent feedback. I'm pretty well.
All right, sounds great. So all right, yeah, and then if any of y'all want to follow me or whatever, then basically the easiest way to do that is go on to YouTube, type in Counterpoints Common Spelling. Like I said, we just broke 10K. I do Twitch debates. I also break down like military stuff, law enforcement stuff, all that jazz, and then also do Twitch panels and debate shows and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to catch me yelling at progressives or liberals or whatever, if you want to have an aneurysm with me as we go onto the panel shows, that's entirely possible, and I'll be very happy to fulfill your Twitch screaming needs. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. I think we're done. I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to say, or do you want to go ahead and
Nope, I'm good to go. I appreciate y'all. Good luck. Have a great night, and look forward to catching y'all soon.
All right, buddy. I appreciate you. You have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye bye.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and open up the
Counterpoints.
AMA stage.
Yes. Is that universal
Oh.
discourse?
No,
What?
it's safety liberal.
No. I'm a. It's safety comrade again.
Oh, I forgot he
Um,
went back.
String, do you want to come in here? String has some very interesting things to say. He's a lawyer. He's a tax lawyer.
All right, where do you want me to go? And I
Oh,
can
now
I
we're
can do that
doing
for
the-
like
I
5
can move
minutes.
him. I can move him in here.
All right, you move me in, and I got like 3 to 5 minutes max.
All right. If you want to come in here, String, you can. I invited you.
No, now
There
we're
you
doing
go.
this.
Oh, you know what's happening, Killjoy.
So I have just a very slight concern about something you said, and
Sure.
and I was late. I was late to your talk. You said with great clarity that there were liberals out there who were seriously proposing a 3 million person airlift.
Mhm.
Do you consider those individuals serious actors?
No.
Why are they your example of people on the left? Do you think that there are no serious actors on the left?
I think there are serious actors on the left.
So why, when you're pressed to give an example of something, do
Mhm.
you find the most obvious nut pick out there and then nut pick them?
Because I operate on Twitter.com and Twitch.tv.
Do you think that that's healthy? Do you think that political discourse should take place on Twitch.com and Twitter.com?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Because most people are idiots and assholes. So if your primary concern is some kind of straw man where I say there's no intelligent people on the left,
That's what you
not what I
said through
said.
this entire talk. So if I
Oh,
summarized
get
what
the
you said
fuck
for
outta
the
here.
last,
Okay,
if I
listen.
summarized-
Okay, whoever the fuck you are,
Mhm.
all right? Are you seriously offended right now that somebody who has been the only reason why I'm here as an AMA is because I've
Mhm.
spent the past 2 years of my life debating insane people on
Mhm.
the internet. You're offended that I have said that some insane people exist in the political realm that I interact with.
That's not what I'm offended by. I
Okay,
don't
what are
think
you
we should
offended
be.
by?
So I don't think that it's healthy to give those insane people air. And I think that when you think that your points are right because they're insane people to the left of you and insane people to the right of you, and therefore you must be correct, you're engaging in a fallacy. Because I'm not an well, through the talk, the last 30 minutes of it, a lot of the examples that were given is here's an insane person and I disagreed with them, therefore I must be right. And I am to the left of you, but I'm also not an insane person. And I don't think you'd be able to reach the conclusion of because this insane person disagreed with me, I must be right when arguing with me. And so I'm concerned that you've reached into the depths of what is the most toxic, well, the second most toxic political discourse on the planet, and taken from that, not that there's things that you could learn in more knowledgeable discourse, but rather that because you disagree with the insane people, you must be correct.
Okay, this is what I would say is one, happy to talk to you at another time. I'm a little bit tired right now. But you're probably not familiar with my work because I don't want to say primarily, but a decent chunk of what I do is I do one-on-one discussions and one-on-one debates with people who I think are incredibly smart.
Sure. Who's the last person you debated who you wouldn't consider part of the insane far left or far right political discourse?
I will literally pull it up. But the guy who's coming immediately to my mind is a gentleman by the name of Gassim. He's a Sudanese, Sudanese-born, Western-educated, multilingual policy wonk who has worked with the United Nations, actually helped get Sudan off of the terrorism, like state actors of terrorism watch list. And also the conversation that we had was more from a like chud perspective on my end, where I'm like, I'm scared of Muslims. And he was like, bro, you don't need to be scared of Muslims. Here's why. And that's the kind of thing that I platformed him on, where maybe I came up with like stereotypically right-wing concerns about immigration and globalism and all that kind of stuff, and he had an opportunity to push back on it in an intelligent way. So I can't
Sure,
say he's the
that's
last person, but he's the person who's coming to mind.
sure, that's great. When I look through your videos and look at the most
All
viewed
right, we're not
videos,
litigating. We're not litigating his YouTube.
oh, we're not
We,
disagreeing.
we
Okay.
can
Right
we can
now.
do no we can do that. I don't know if y'all
Right
gotta go or
now.
whatever, but
No,
we
no,
can do
that's
it right
fine.
now.
you tell me.
I'm fine.
Tell me
If
what
you want to
see.
do it, I'm here.
Tell me what you see.
Well, what I see are things with Lauren Southern and the Surfs, both of who are insane. Literally the worst. Two
True.
people, one of whom on the right is an insane person, and one of whom on the left is an insane person.
Mhm.
So when you look at your top viewed stuff from the last forever, it is I debated this insane person on my right and this insane person on my left, or I critiqued this insane person on my left opinions, or I critiqued this insane person on my right's opinions. So
Mhm.
my concern is that you aren't talking to anyone who isn't nuts. And if you're telling me I'm wrong, then that's great. People should be talking to people who are not nuts. But if you want to platform people should be talking to people who aren't nuts, you should be platforming that, not Lauren Southern and the Surfs.
Okay. Number one, because I'm actually very happy to address this. I just because I
It
think
wasn't his platform.
hold on, because I think we might agree more than you know. Okay. So number one, let's talk about platform, but I want to get to the second point because I think it's more important. I just broke 10K today on YouTube. I don't have Twitch. I think I broke 4K on Twitter. I am still very small. Also, if you look at my body of work, which I hope you do, and also we can
I'm looking at
talk
it.
in the future. Hold on. I'll get there. There's people like Rose Wrist. Rose Wrist is one of the smartest fucking lefties in the world. He's a Swedish progressive. He's very smart, very well researched. He knows what he's doing. Okay, and we don't have a blood sports debate where I call him a piece of shit for 3 hours and he calls me a piece of shit for 3 hours. We literally talk about the ideas and we fight it out. I'm scrolling through looking for any more one-on-ones. Gasim is my next guy. Endernax is my next guy. I actually like Endernax a lot, but he's probably more
Yeah, I
blood
like
spurtsy than you want. I talk about
Endernax is a
Doobie.
based Nazbol.
Right. I talked about Doobie, who's one of the main people who runs this Discord. Then I have my buddy GKR, who's a progressive. Some people like him in my Discord, some people don't, but he's still a very smart guy. He's an asshole, but he's very smart. And then what I basically I could Riley Grace Rochong, who I also think is one of the most intelligent lefties in the Twitch or YouTube sphere. So no, I'm not just talking to assholes. And when I talk to really smart people, here's Dylan Burns. And when I talk to smart people,
So you keep giving me examples of people who are absolutely the
No.
worst.
You
Dylan
think
Burns is
that
not absolutely the
you
worst.
think Dylan Burns and Riley Grace
No.
Rochong are absolutely the worst?
You're
I
crazy.
think here's why I think Dylan Burns is absolutely the worst. He
Oh my
Because he
spends
God.
his
puts
career
on a wrestling
platforming
show. Yeah.
platforming via a wrestling show people with
Yeah.
bad shit takes.
Okay.
Okay, and But-
That's
okay.
the worst. What needs
I
to
can-
happen?
I
Mhm.
can see the criticism for like, let's invite Stryker onto the show. Somebody who is basically a neo-Nazi.
Right.
Okay.
I haven't taken a left or right stance on the worst.
What
I'm
which
saying-
people do you
True.
like?
I don't.
Okay.
Do you
so-
hold on. I think I have a pertinent question. Do you think that our politics, like our public politics, not just internet politics, do you think that our public politics are currently being run by the best people or the worst
No.
people?
Closer to the worst than the best, but
Right.
the spheres online are far worse than the spheres in the real world.
Okay, so are you familiar with my takes or my work at all?
I am, yes.
I don't know how familiar, but anyways, it doesn't matter. because I do need to go shoot people in the face
I'm
in
not-
a minute.
I'm
but-
not referring to your takes.
Okay.
I'm referring to the way that you characterize people who disagree with you, the interactions you have, and the people who you choose to have those interactions with. And I'm informed by the fact that you were made famous in the politics world by getting in between Lauren Southern and the serfs.
Okay.
And this, okay, and what I am saying is that's bad. Getting in between Lauren Southern and the serfs, that's bad. No one should be
Okay.
able to get in between Lauren Southern and the
Okay.
serfs because they shouldn't be here.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Cool.
Hold on. So we have no trust me, I'll wrap it up in a second. We have no legal ability in a free society to prevent either one of these people from having a platform. So
That's absolutely true.
Hold on. So is it better to let these two people fight it out in the public sphere, because it's very clear that a lot of people are very attracted to both of their ideologies? Or is it better for somebody who's maybe a little bit more centrist or rational to jump between these people, actually say what's what, say what's real, and also push back on both of their bullshit simultaneously? What do you think is more productive?
I don't think you did that. Now, if you
Oh,
were doing that,
Please enlighten me how I didn't do that.
if you were doing that,
Uh-huh.
people would have come away from that discussion not saying, oh, wow, the serfs really got their head kicked in by Lauren Southern and the guy, or, oh, wow, Lauren Southern really got her head kicked in by serfs and the guy. Instead, people would say, wow, Lauren Southern and the serfs both looked like morons in that discussion. And maybe that's a doable thing. But I don't think you're doing it.
Okay,
Now,
so
if you
I
think
have
you're doing it,
to. I can't just make the serfs' more extreme claims look stupid. I also have to make Lauren Southern look stupid simultaneously in order to be responsible.
No. In order to be responsible, you could either make just the serfs look stupid, or make both the serfs and Lauren Southern look stupid. But when you make someone who is just as bad, or not maybe just as bad, but definitely not correct, look good, you are making a bad argument look better.
Okay, can you summarize the right-wing argument in that debate for me?
I don't feel like going through the summarize the right wing argument.
Okay, this is weird to me, because you're talking about how Lauren Southern is such a fucking asshole for having such a stupid take. Her take.
That's not what I said.
Okay, I don't care.
That's not
her. Okay, I don't care. Her take and my take is that people are exaggerating the history of the residential school system in order to get people into a furor. And as a result, people are using this as moral justification in order to Molotov cocktail churches. Hold on, I'm not done yet. Our primary position is that really horrific shit happened in the residential school system, and we need to be accurate about what actually happened and the evidence that supports it, which we were, because we basically quoted the Truth and Reconciliation Commission from Canada verbatim. And then, regardless of the sins of the late 19th and early 20th century, that doesn't justify current vandalism to Christian churches. That was our entire position. So what problem do you have with that position?
What I'm saying is 5 months ago, you attempt to white pill Lauren Southern on discourse by saying to her, what you're doing is bad. But she never changed. So if you knew that someone... Oh, you think she has changed?
On some things.
Do you think she's changed in her mode of discourse?
Yeah, I would agree that she is definitely very, very more cadenced towards a different style of politics.
I would say through personal interaction, I would say she's less of a shit poster than she used to be, but she's still a shit poster, and I fucking yell at her.
So you said, stop doing this. She hasn't stopped doing it. But you're still thinking that the right way to deal with this universe is to take Lauren Southern into a debate with some guy who is some socialist shit poster on the internet, where a bunch of shit posters on the internet shit post at each other about something that should have a real nuanced thing. And you say, but I have a real nuanced thing. And I say, no one got your real nuanced thing.
Oh, bullshit. I call complete and utter bullshit on this. If you check all of the comments, all of the comments are about...
Sure, let's check a comment.
Hold on, shut the fuck up. Okay, number one, here's the thing. I am perfectly happy to have a conversation with you. I am perfectly happy to have contention. What I'm not okay with is basically me trying to make a point to you and then you just fucking railroading this fucking bullshit. I'll talk to you, but talk to me like I'm a fucking person, or else I got
Sure.
better shit to
If
do.
you want to,
So-
so if you want to talk to me like we're people, and you want to have a discussion with me like a person, then we need to be operating on kind of a basic understanding of where the other one is coming from. I think you
Yeah.
basically understand that I think that online interactions in politics are toxic.
So
and you can-
hold the fuck up, because this is a really important question that I haven't got to ask yet. How the fuck are you saying this to me on the politics Discord?
Sure.
I'm
So
aware
if
of
you
the
don't
irony.
know, if you don't know my background on this server, I have fought tooth and nail with Doobie and everyone else who has fought against me tooth and nail to solve the toxicity on this shit server.
How
So
has
if
that
you're
worked
saying
out?
terribly, which is why I do not platform this server.
He is the second highest rank in this server, by the way.
Okay.
I
just want-
that just blows my mind. Like,
Yeah. So sorry for interrupting, but like basically what I'm probably having my mind blown similarly. You're in the same waters that I am. You
No.
see how rough they are. You see how choppy and ugly and shitty they are. And what you say is, you shouldn't even be swimming in these waters.
That's not what I'm saying.
That almost sounds exactly like what you're saying. So please explain it
Seems
to me.
hypocritical to me.
So if you'd like me to tell you why that's not what I'm saying,
Sure.
the difference is that if I had a YouTube channel, which I may or may not have, I would not platform this server. I would not link to an AMA on this server. I would not tell anyone this server exists until it solves its toxicity problem.
Okay,
I
don't
would not
care.
platform the serfs. I would not platform Lauren Southern. I would not tell anyone they exist until they solve their toxicity problem.
How do you think growth happens in this space? Do you think it happens by just being so hold on. Do you think that it just happens through like independent non-interaction where you just get to go do your own fucking thing and be like the fucking 10-head genius who solves all the problems?
No, I do not. I realize I am well aware of the methodology by which someone gets themselves noticed. It's by interacting with the toxicity, because the toxicity and the blood sport brings viewers. It brings
so
engagement
here's a question.
and interaction.
Okay, so here's a question. You're saying that you're familiar with my work. I like to think that what I do, because by the way, I've actually been lying in wait for criticism along these lines. So actually, thank you for coming out.
So
hold on, I'm not done.
So mad that I railroaded you.
Okay,
but now you're
I'm
saying
not
you've
done.
been waiting for someone to railroad you.
No, but because
I don't think you meant
it's
that
more
literally.
it's more of like a rhetorical style. Like I'm actually really happy to debate these points. What I don't want is just to be like 3 seconds into a point and then you just talk over me. That's what I don't want. So okay, so basically what I was gonna say is, if you're familiar with my work, I like to think that I strike a really interesting balance between actual competency, information, and shitposting. And the way that I do that is I don't get angry or treat anybody poorly unless the situation calls for it. And a majority of the time, I would like to think that I'm relaying some pretty realistic information, both about how the world works and what would make the world better, while not being particularly partisan in either direction. That's what I try to do. So do you think that I've failed in that expectation or failed in that standard? Why? Why have I failed that standard?
Because when presented the opportunity to say, I'm in a room with two people who are doing this wrong, you said, I'm in a room with one person who's doing this wrong.
Oh, I don't give a shit. They're all doing it wrong. But here's another point. You keep using the word platform, by the way. Do you? So I don't know if you're aware with like how people typically conceptualize platforming.
I am.
Okay. So you basically know that the average view, like I have a few videos that go, relatively viral. I have a few videos over 50K or 100K, but they're largely entertainment. And then I have a few videos over 10K that are more like philosophical based.
You're saying you have a very small platform, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay, that's the first point. And then the second point is the people that I'm interacting with. Not only do I have a small platform, I'm also interacting with people who have 60 times my platform, and I am presenting their audiences with messages that they might not have previously considered.
Absolutely.
How is this not a positive thing?
So that's about your interacting with them. And I'm not saying don't interact with Lauren Southern. I'm saying
Okay.
do. Go to Lauren Southern and interact with
Mm,
her and tell her all of the wrong that she does. But no matter
okay.
how big your YouTube channel is, for you
Mm,
to say, you, my viewer, should interact with Lauren Southern is doing a
mm,
disservice to your viewer. And I realize you don't have that many viewers, but I'm arguing that the
mm,
people that we should be saying, you're doing a good job in this space, are
mm,
not bringing toxicity to their audience. They're bringing anti-toxicity to their audience. You should not be
mm.
showing your audience toxicness. You should be showing your audience good. And you should be going to audiences that are toxic and saying, this is toxic, you can find good.
Okay, so
You just-
what I would like you to do, because I think it's really easy to criticize from the sidelines, is
Sure.
I want you to do what I do better than I do it. And I want you
I
to tell
can't.
me and I want you to tell me how it goes. Why can't you do it?
Those who can't play, coach.
That's not.
Well, fuck
Do you
that.
mind if I say something? Do you mind if I say
no.
something?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
listening.
I-
Single people. It's the single people giving marriage advice. No.
I'm listening.
Here, I don't like. This has been fun for me to listen to. I
Mhm.
will say this though.
It's not.
String for me it is, and a lot of people it's entertainment.
Yeah,
Um,
inducing.
but I disagree with String on a lot of things. I
Mhm.
personally am a democratic socialist. String and I disagree on a lot of things like unions, and we've had pretty heated debates.
Who cares?
I'm
being
listening. I'm
nice.
listening, baby. Let's go.
No, that's fine. Sorry, I'm a little high, but
Jesus Christ.
the way that String operates is in a way of, so somebody makes a claim, right? Let's say it's a really stupid claim, like Biden said that he was going to force everyone into unions. And
Mhm.
the way that he does it, which sometimes works, right? I've seen it happen, is that he forces the person in that mindset to literally make the claim. And a lot of times people have to back off, right? And I would say in some cases that has produced pretty good results where the person is like, okay, I guess I was wrong, and I've done that before. I think what String's criticism is that, and I don't know, I'm not very familiar with your work, right? And so I'm being super charitable. Is does the way you argue produce real results, which is what he's concerned with. He seems to be concerned with the fact that you debate with Lauren Southern and the serfs, and the thing that he wants people to walk away with, which he's concerned is not happening, is Lauren Southern is bad, right? Not Lamau. Lauren Southern got obliterated by the serfs.
No, I want more
Oh.
than that. I want not only Lauren Southern is bad, but I want the serfs are bad. I want everyone.
Well, we
involved
accomplished
in this.
that.
I
Well,
think
yeah.
that was pretty obvious.
Yeah. So
what I'm
Mhm.
looking for is
Mhm.
if you're saying that you're trying to remove toxicity to return us to rationality, for you to say, here's how I'm going to return us to rationality. And if you think the methodology for returning us to rationality is gang banging the serfs in some blood sports bullshit debate about stuff that no one understands, then fine. But
well, okay, but I disagree with your framing and your premise. So this is something that's actually really interesting to me because I think we talk about this all the time without conceding some real ground. So I think that politics, as a matter of fact, the people that I try to appeal to, the people that I invite into my Discord, the people that I talk to in my Discord, the people that I interact with majority, the people who actually like my work. Typically, they're people who do have like political allegiances. They're either progressive, leftist, whatever, or they're right wing libertarian. I do have like a few authoritarian right wingers, but not very many. They don't tend to like me because I tend to be too liberal or too sensible or too centrist, right? So basically, I appeal to people who are willing to consider other people's perspectives and actually have a dialogue. Unfortunately, that's not a majority of people. A majority of people love the bread and circus. They love the fight. They love the bloods. If these people
I'm not
lived,
disagreeing
hold
with
on,
you.
I'm not done making my point. If this was the Roman Colosseum, they would absolutely be like voting for everybody to get fucking stabbed to death, right? And the truth is that we live in a realm where social media and Twitch politics and all that kind of stuff has exposed that a decent chunk of our population, maybe even a majority of our population, are not some like axiomatically deeply rooted philosophical savants who want to criticize and understand the entire material world. What they want is they want charismatic. personalities.
I
They want to
completely
follow.
agree with you.
Mhm. Yeah. So the
And I
only
think now,
thing
do you
that I
think
can
this is
do.
wait.
Mhm.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, it's a bad thing, but I also think it's
Great.
natural.
So we totally agree. That is a bad thing.
Hold
And
on. Mm-hmm.
wait. And
Sorry,
so
listening.
my question for you is, if you think it's a bad thing, then you think it would be good to change it. And if you think it would be good to change it, that means if you think you can do anything to change it, you'd be doing that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Either you are doing that thing or you don't think that thing exists.
Yeah, let me describe the thing that I'm trying to do. Because I think I am doing that thing, but probably not the way that you want me to do it. So what I'm doing is I am trying to almost at all times create, number one, room for reasonable people to have a conversation. And number two, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create some level of cognitive dissonance in ideologues. Because I don't think that I think that when ideologues or people who are attracted to cults of personality, I think when they're presented with an argument that ultimately complicates or fucks up their worldview, they might not stop following their cult of personality. They might not stop being ideologues, but there's going to be something subconscious that gnaws at them and basically rubs them wrong because they heard information that runs counter to their narrative and their ideological possession. And ultimately, what's going to happen now, they might not come to me, right? They might not be like, oh, I'm a big brain fucking centrist now, right? But what is going to happen is they're going to go, hey, my cult of personality is kind of hyper aggressive and hyperbolic and fucked up. And that Connor guy seems okay. And he presented me with information not only that I wasn't expecting from a place that I didn't expect it, but on top of that, it's things that run counter to the narrative that I've been presented with for the past 6 months to 5 years to 10 years of ideological possession. I think that my cult of personality that I've attached my identity to might be something that I'm being played on. I'm being played to. So I'm not expecting that person to come over to my channel and be like, hey, Connor, I'm a $100 a month subscriber. I'm not expecting that shit. But what I am expecting and what I'm hoping for is during Twitch panels and Twitch debates and all that kind of stuff. Number one, hopefully they treat me with some level of charitability. Number two, they might start doubting the cult that they've become a part of. And those are really my two goals.
Sure. So I think those are admirable goals. Admirable goals. People who are devoted to a cult of personality of absolute idiots, like everyone who follows anyone on Twitch and YouTube to get their political commentary should absolutely be dissuaded from that via people who
you
are
don't think
deep.
that's fair? Do you a fair assessment? Say that everyone on Twitch and YouTube who does that falls into that category.
Yes, they all do.
This
single
feels a
one of
little
them.
number one, this feels a little elitist. Number two, it's
I
hold
am
on.
an unabashed elitist, so
Okay.
I own that with
That-
I own that.
What is your educational background to make that decision?
Okay, hold on.
I mean,
just because I
want to know.
I have a JD MBA from a school you've heard of.
Okay,
so basically the same as mine, and I think I'm full of shit. So you're basically full of yourself.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, but here's the other thing is I don't think so. So I think I can create that cognitive dissonance. I think I can get people to reconsider their perspectives, all that kind of stuff. That's what I can accomplish. But
sure.
Hold on, buddy. You keep jumping in when I have like 10%
thing. So just one quick question. I want you to focus. I want you to focus. The next time, I'm gonna only say everything you want to say. The next time I'm talking, I want you to focus on what happens when I don't say "Hold on, buddy." Go ahead.
Okay. So, well, goddamn, now you just fucked up my point. So, hold on. So, what I would say is that there is a certain amount of people who can have like philosophically grounded axiomatic principles that they consider and change over time and information and all that kind of stuff. I don't think most people are that way. And I think that all you can do with most people is help create that doubt. That way they're more willing to reconsider and negotiate their ideological possession. I don't think it's possible to create an entire civil society of non-toxic, hyper savant kings. I don't think that shit's going to happen, and I don't think most people have the social or intellectual intelligence in order to do it.
Sure, I disagree. Specifically, I think
Why?
that people can. I think that people can do it. I think that we lived in a society that operated in that way until extremely recently.
How recently?
We had. I mean, I would say probably until the mid 70s we operated with.
Can I tell you why you're wrong?
I want you to think about "Hold on, buddy," but yes, you can tell me why you're wrong.
Okay, I can tell you why you're wrong. Civil society up until the 1970s. I think it's actually really interesting that you picked that time. That's like the era of like Cronkitean honest journalism, right? So basically what was happening was the United States of America had 3 major broadcasting and publishing databases, and that was the propaganda that was fed to the American people. And if you don't believe that it's propaganda, it's positive propaganda. Like, we fought for liberal democracy instead of fascism or authoritarian communism. That's relatively positive, I would say, but it was still propaganda. And so what you're essentially seeing here with social media, with the avocation of personal computers and the internet in the 1990s and then the explosion of social media in the 2020s, is not some like genetic devolution of civil society. What you're seeing is the gatekeepers can't propagandize everybody through 3 major broadcasting networks and maybe half a dozen major newspapers. And so instead of having one public narrative, you actually have real and true democracy. And guess what? Democracy is fucking disgusting because most people are assholes and idiots.
I don't think that is so. I accepted that you wanted to cut in and say something and let you say all of it, and I want you to remember that.
Okay.
I think that your belief that it was propagandized by the 3 major networks is belied by the fact that we had deep divisions in the country in the 70s, that we fought over and over again about things, but we fought about those things at a level that was more deeply serious than the stuff we talk about today. And the reason that we fought about those things at a level that was more deeply serious than the stuff we talk about today is because we hadn't learned that if you just have a blood sport, people love it. And we learned somehow that you could have this blood sport and people would like it and they would enjoy it and they would take away from it beliefs based on the wrestler that they liked the most. I really like that wrestler. I'm going to agree with him about all of these things, even though I don't really care about most of these things. And that devolution, the creation of the blood sport that happened in the 80s, that happened in the 90s, that happened in the 2000s, was democratized in the 10s and sent out to everyone in the 20s is the problem. And the pushback that needs to happen against it is that the people who are, in fact, you're going to call it elitist, the elites at understanding that the blood sports are the problem need to be pushing back against this, not by participating in the blood sports, but when they see those blood sports by saying, hey, you're participating in public blood sports, and this is gross. You're doing a bad thing. Raise the level of discourse. Pay a little bit of attention. Focus on the facts. Do some actual research as opposed to just screaming at the person against you and calling them a liberal, progressive, socialist commie or a neo-Nazi fascist gas bag. Actually do some work as opposed to saying that 3 million people, that you guys are proposing that we airlift 3 million people out of Afghanistan. Actually address the points that they're actually making and focus on those as opposed to the caricature that the online debate is 1,000,000% focused around. And if you say you're doing that, then more power to you. I'll record the next whatever Twitch panel you're on. Someone notify me of that. And I'll clip out the things you say and look for you to say that. And I'll come back to you with those clips and say, where is it that you think you did this? And if it's true that you're doing it, then more power to you. And I'll subscribe and like to your YouTube channel, even though it'll ruin my feed of exciting watch content.
Okay.
But if you're not doing it,
Oh,
I
well,
need
come
you
on
to
now.
do it.
Buddy, you've been talking for like 7 minutes. I know I'm long-winded too, but I do have to go. So what I would say is that I disagree with your prescription. I agree. I agree with your description. But I also think that you've okay, 2 things. I think you've romanticized the past, number 1. I think stupid people were always here, and I think stupid people were always doing stupid things. When you're talking about like we had an elevated discourse, you had an elevated discourse in media. You didn't have an elevated discourse amongst the populace. Amongst the populace, people were rioting, hitting each other in the head with bricks, beating the shit out of each other, going into riots, and attacking each other with water cannons and dogs. That wasn't some higher level of fucking discourse. That was the populace figuring their shit out. So you have a super romantic version of the history of the past. Number 2, I disagree with your prescription. And on top of that, I don't really give a fuck. Here's the thing about it. I have 10,000 fucking people who are willing to at least click a little fucking button and ring a little bell so they can watch my videos. I do have a smaller platform, but I'm hoping to do this professionally eventually. And on top of that, I like to think that I actually thread the needle quite well between giving real arguments and paying attention to what my opponents are actually saying and thinking. Also, while dunking on fucking assholes and making them look fucking stupid. I think that I do a pretty good job of balancing these two priorities of being entertaining and an asshole at the same time, and educational at the same time. So what I would say is, I don't want, like, if you want to talk for like 30 minutes about how I'm a fucking asshole sometime after you watch a Twitch debate, I mean, I think this is good memes. I think people are plenty entertained by it already. But what I would say, what I'm not interested in is a fucking play-by-play of how you want me to do what I view as my fucking job. So if you want to, hold on. So I'm not almost done. So if you want to do my fucking job better than I do it, please, for the love of God, fucking do it. But when you say that those who can't do coach or teach, fuck that. Get in the game or don't. That's it.
Yeah, String, like, I have to ask, like, how do you think Gamergate happened, generally?
I know exactly how Gamergate happened, having known about it from day 3. A disgruntled asshole who was pissed off that his girlfriend cheated on him with some guy sent out a text message, and a bunch of misogynist shits took up that text message and decided that they were going to have ha-ha laughs by ruining a bunch of people's lives.
Okay, sure, but the discourse that surrounded that went mostly unchallenged because the kind of running theory at the time was that we don't need to platform this kind of thing. When, I mean, they were using YouTube to like attack the journalistic integrity of like gaming journalists. And they were using that massive platform to do it, and they went unchallenged, and then this like toxic alt-right community kind of festered, and then, well, now we have the bulk of YouTube being mostly.
So I can demonstrate that even an attempt to challenge that, and this is where I realized that the online politics discourse and the platforming of people was wrong. I was involved in that online discourse about Gamergate, and you'll find me there if you look hard enough. And thank God I've never used my actual name in any of those things. But even an attempt to push back against that fell prey to the two sides wrestling narrative.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm sure you're a smart person. I'm happy that you got your JD and you went to a fucking good school. That's fucking awesome. I'm a working class asshole. Okay, I'm fucking smart, but I'm a middle class asshole, right? So what I would say is that when you say don't engage in blood sports, don't engage with these people, don't do this, don't do that, as a matter of fact, try to appeal to the higher level of discourse, you're only going to appeal to a very small subset of the population. And that population is going to be people who are already like you. Whereas what I'm trying to do is, I'm not trying to appeal to people necessarily like me, although I probably share some things in common with them. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to appeal to the foot soldiers. The people who actually, at the end of the day, are going to be the people who are starting an American Civil War and killing each other in the streets. And what I'm trying to tell them, because they listen to blood sports assholes, is maybe you don't have all the information. And maybe these motherfucking shitty-ass pundits are presenting you with information that you already fucking want. And on top of that, you're kind of an asshole for only looking for information that confirms your bias. That's primarily my job. So I'm down. Basically, I do have to go. Like, I'm leaving now. But I'm down for, like, a criticism. But rather than, like, you watching some fucking new debate and coming out with how I failed your fucking expectations and all that kind of shit, if in general you want to consume a little bit of my content and then fucking get back to me with some criticisms, I'll at least listen and we can have an interesting conversation about it. I'm in your server. Whoever wants to can send me a message right there in your server, which I will re-announce myself in with whatever you want me to watch. I will watch, and I will tell you that this is why you're the problem. Okay, that's up to you, buddy. So, anyways. But I got a dip. I appreciate y'all. It was fun. Thanks for the good memes, and we'll see you later, all right?
Hey, dude. I appreciate you coming.
Oh, sorry.
A difference in, like I was saying, like the way you think about certain types of art